12 after. I'd like to call the meeting to order. If everyone could please take their seats, and we're going to stand for the prayer. At our prayer breakfast, Mayor Mitch Landrieu referenced a prayer, the Universal Prayer. It's a beautiful prayer, so I'm going to take some excerpts from that this evening. So let us bow our heads and remember we're in the presence of the Lord. Heavenly Father, as we gather here before you, we want to ask your blessings upon the city. We want to ask that you guide our wisdom, correct us with justice, comfort us with your mercy, and protect us with your power. We want you to help conquer our anger with gentleness, our greed by generosity, our apathy by fervor, and help us to forget ourselves and reach out towards others, especially at this time of year. Teach us to realize that this world is passing, that our true future is the happiness of heaven, and that life on earth is short, and the life to come is eternal. And as we know that we prepare ourselves every day for that day, we want to pray in a special way this evening. We have some special intentions for some deceased members of our own Kenner family. Councilmember Black would like to mention, excuse me, I'm sorry, Jeannie. Go.
Yes, we'd like to pray especially for the soul of Mr. Sal Playa, a resident of Old Kenner, Hanson City, and his wife Dolores and his family, who passed. Mr. Sal Playa passed away this afternoon.
Councilmember Carroll.
I would also like to ask everyone for their prayers for the family of former Councilman Mark Johnson. His father went on to with God in heaven, Mr. Jack Johnson, and we pray for him and his family.
And for all of those faithful departed, especially at this time of year that we're reminded of their absence, we pray for the repose of their soul and for the souls and for the families. Councilmember Stagney.
Thank you, Madam President. Also, God, please be with the families of Ed Davis, Emmy Lee, and Teresa Odom, all of whom passed. Give them strength and courage during this time.
I think his name is
Councilmember DeFrancis.
And also, Steve Caraway's wife, Karen, her brother died, and his, I believe his first name was Gerald. Am I correct? Steve, Gerald Troyer. And he recently passed away this past, the funeral was this past week, and we want to keep Karen and her entire family in our prayers as well.
For these and all blessings, we ask upon you, Jesus. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Councilmember Reyno, if you'd lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Chairman, you have a quorum. In accordance with Council Resolution Number B-14550, please be advised that all cellular telephones, pagers, beepers, and other devices of this nature must be deactivated or silenced throughout the council meeting. Madam Chairman, I've received a request from Councilmember Denopoulos to change the order of business to take item 12A at this juncture.
Motion by Councilmember Denopoulos, second by Councilmember Black to change the order of business. Council members, please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Item 12A is summary ordinance number 11,441, an ordinance designating and renaming Wentwood Playground Field Number 1 as the George Anthony Dragon Memorial Field Number 1.
Motion by Councilmember Denopoulos, second by Councilmember Brannigan. Councilmember Denopoulos.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair. I can tell you that every now and then this council deems it necessary to honor somebody who has been very involved and who has put forth a lot of effort, and their family has made a lot of sacrifices to improving our city and improving the things that, you know, at every level. And this one in particular is a very good friend of mine, George Dragon. George Dragon passed away, and this council and myself have seen it fit that we, in George's history at Wentwood Playground, and I know I coached at Woodlake Playground, and we actually coached against each other, but we were always friends on the field, during the play, and after the field. And I can tell you that George put a lot of effort into the Wentwood Playground. He had many years of coaching experience out there, and I can tell you what better fitting to do is to take our field number 1, the baseball field number 1, and actually dedicate it to George Dragon. And I know several council people here are also going to chime in and with their experiences and just their thoughts and their experiences with George. George was a very colorful, very involved individual. I can tell you that when I ran, the several times that I ran from my seat, he would always tell me, "Give me a sign, this is my corner," and he'd sit there and wave for hours. He was just a great person, going to be sadly missed. I know his family is here today, and this is just kind of part 1. Right now, we are in the construction phase. They've driven the pilings. They've taken out the old backstop. They've driven the pilings. They are in the process of doing all the cinder block walls, and basically we're going to rename or name in honor of George Dragon field number 1. And in reading the summary, 12A, if you give me just a minute to get there, I'm going to go ahead and read this ordinance so that everybody understands the importance that it is. An ordinance designating and renaming Wentwood Playground Field number 1 as the George Anthony Dragon Memorial Field number 1. Whereas George Anthony Dragon lived in Kenner, Louisiana for all of his 44 short years, where he and his beloved brothers and best friends, Warren Dragon, Mark Dragon, Wayne Dragon, played sports and grew up in the fields of Wentwood Playground. And whereas George's parents, Emily and Betty Dragon, as well as a large extended family who resides in Kenner, Louisiana, cheered George and his brothers on and were active in the Booster Club and many other playground-related activities. And whereas George grew up into a young man, he shared his passion and his love of sports with the many children he coached throughout the years at Wentwood Playground and St. Elizabeth Ann Seton School. And whereas George was an active member of the St. Elizabeth Men's Club, where he showed his kindness and compassion in many ways by helping the less fortunate and always with a smile on his face. And whereas George leaves behind his beloved family, Sandy, his wife of 17 years, his devoted children, Samantha, Troy, Morgan Dragon, to treasure his memory. And whereas in consideration of the hard work and dedication of years of continuous service as a coach and a mentor to the children of Wentwood Playground and St. Elizabeth Ann's School, and the many families he assisted as a member of St. Elizabeth Ann's Seton's Men's Club, the city of Kenner is serious in renaming and designating Wentwood Playground Field number 1 as the George Anthony Dragon Memorial Field number 1. The Council of the City of Kenner hereby resolves, Section 1, that in consideration for the years that he spent at Wentwood Playground as a child, then a young man, and the many years he gave unselfishly to coach and mentor the children of Wentwood Playground, that Wentwood Playground Field number 1 is hereby renamed and designated as the George Anthony Dragon Memorial Field number 1. I know, if you don't mind standing, his family is here at this time. I just want to tell you guys it is such a great loss, but we're going to remember his memories forever, you know, and I can tell you what a dear friend, and we're going to actually have a ribbon cutting ceremony when the improvements occur at that time. And I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, do we have a PowerPoint presentation? A couple of pictures, okay. I'm going to go ahead and pass these out to the council. We didn't have a PowerPoint, did we?
I think she uploaded.
We do? Please, go right ahead. Basically, also, in my district, we had, this is actually the Randy Lew Memorial Field number 1 that's at at Woodlake Playground. Well, this is the Wentwood Playground at this moment, and these are the improvements it's going to have. It's going to have a concrete surround all the way from first base to third base. It's going to have a concrete bulker backstop. It's going to have the fencing, and once again, it's also going to have the plaques on the field, memorializing, what the history and what George has done for the playground. And actually, this is going to be a very nice improvement for the Wentwood area and the Wentwood playground field. And at this time, I know there's a lot of council people that want to make a few comments, and I'm going to turn it over to them as well.
Councilmember Stagney.
Thank you, Madam President. I grew up playing ball at the Wentwood Playground, and Warren, his oldest brother, and Mark, and Wayne. Of course, Wayne would tell everybody how he was better than all the other brothers. But I never saw anybody walk into a room and gain more respect and be more well-liked and was always the life of the party than George. He had that type of personality. He had that type of character. And I remember often him talking about coaching his daughter at the playground. I never knew George to be a coach when he was much younger. I never thought he'd want to do something like that. But his wife and his daughter meant that much. I don't know whether he coached Troy. He did. They're shaking their head. When Councilman DeNapolis talked about doing this, we honor the great athlete and the movie star, but we rarely, or we don't do it enough, honor those people who take of time out of their life to help young children by coaching them on the playgrounds or inside the gyms. George did that, and as a young person, I never thought George would even look to do something like that. But he knew the responsibility of being a parent. He had such a great love in his heart for his children, and I think this is fitting. When I was at the service, all of you know the former fireman, Ricky Dietz. Ricky went up to the microphone talking about, the only real Wentwood families they have are the Dietzes, the LaCrutes, and the Dragons. And by doing what Ken is doing here today, and all of us, there are a lot more people that have played at the playground, not just those three families. But George's memory and what he did in the community will always be memorialized through this naming of the playground. It's a family that I've been close to. I love that family. They did a lot for the playground. Mr. Emile and Miss Betty. Miss Betty used to, people wondered why I fought for ceramics so long. Miss Betty taught ceramics in the Kenner system for many, many years. You'd be surprised at how many athletes would go there and take ceramics. And I know people like to make fun of that, but we had a whole baseball team that would do it year in and year out. I will tell you that she's here today. I don't know how she's here today. I don't know how she's suffered through everything she suffered through. But our family constantly prays for Miss Sandy, who in a 4-month period lost her father and her husband. She is a great lady, grew up inside of the University City neighborhood, and we love them very much. And Kent, this is a great thing that you're doing. I'm going to wholeheartedly support it, and I think the family appreciates it very much. And we love George very much.
Councilmember Black.
Thank you, Madam Chair. To the Dragon family, you will never know, or maybe you will, know how much your husband and your father were loved. My son Steve was just crushed because he said, Mom, when George entered the room, he just took over the whole, everybody knew he was there because he had such a marvelous personality and was so outgoing and so giving and had a big heart. So you should be proud, and I know you are, and I know that he's watching down on us tonight, and it is an honor and a privilege to be able to honor George Dragon in the way that we are because he was such a wonderful person and such a giving person. So I hope that you all have the strength to carry on and carry through. Your sons and daughters can keep up what their father dropped off. And so we wish you all nothing but good thoughts and praise for your husband and father.
Councilmember DeFrancis.
Thank you, Council President. I just want to, again, say that the family must be so very proud of the difference he's made in the lives of so many children here in the city of Kenner. But I also want to thank the family for sharing him with the children of Kenner, because of their willingness to share him, that he was able to make, again, the impact that he made in the lives of those children. So thank you for sharing him with all of us. And again, our prayers are with you.
Okay. And just to say, we'll have an opportunity to speak more, and maybe even, I know this is a kind of a awkward forum for perhaps you to add comments, but when we do have the presentation, I hope that you'll share with us some of your thoughts of George, because I can tell you that there was, on Facebook, you kind of keep up with things these days, and we did the same when George was going through all his treatments, and it was so weird how many different groups of my friends knew George. I mean, it wasn't just playground people. It was people that I had no idea how they had a connection to him. And you really learn a lot about a person by how other people speak of him. And so I will tell you that everyone that I had known George, had spoke so highly of him. And the reason I think it's important that we hold people up like this that have passed in our community, especially young people, it's so devastating, even more so, is that it's good for kids to have those kind of role models, and that's how they continue to live on. So while they may not be here on earth, that we are reminded of the type of people who we hold up in our community and look to as heroes and as people that we would want our children to grow up to be. So it's a way to remind kids of what their potential is too. So we thank you for sharing him with us for as many years, and thank you for the sacrifices that you made in the time that he gave to us. I know that at most of the time you didn't know that those hours would be so short, but it's always a sacrifice when people give of their time to help other people. So Councilmember DeNapolis will close, and then we'll look forward to seeing you all at the dedication. Councilmember DeNapolis.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And Sandy, once again, thank you for allowing George to spend some time and away from your family to do the things he was doing in the community, and I know he's going to be sadly missed. And I can tell you, when those boys and girls go to Wentwood Playground and they're going to look at that plaque and they're going to ask, well, who was George Dragon? I promise you there's people there who will be able to answer that question for them. And we're going to let you know, it's under construction right now. Probably because of the holidays. It's probably going to be sometime after the holidays, but you all will be notified, and we're going to have an actual event out there, and please hope to see all of you all out there. And once again, and what Councilwoman Brannigan said, bring your memories with us, because we really want to share some and actually celebrate George at that time. Thank you much, Sandy. Appreciate it.
Okay, I didn't want to say that you couldn't speak if you wanted to this evening, but I thought that perhaps the proper time would be at that time. Perfect. Okay, seeing no further discussion, council members, please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Madam Chairman, I've also received a request from the administration to change the order of business to take item 18A at this juncture.
Motion by Councilmember Black, second by Councilmember Brannigan to change the order of business. Council members, please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0.
Do we have to read it?
When you see it go green, oh, it's green. You ready?
Okay. Okay, so item 18A is the presentation of Shop Kenner First. If you don't mind, Ms. Wagasback, Councilmember Stagney wanted to open with some comments. Councilmember Stagney.
Thank you, Madam President. Several years ago, Kenner started a shop, Keep Kenner Strong, Shop Kenner First. And over the last several meetings, we've discussed that, and I know I've brought it up at the meetings about keeping your dollars local. And KTV and Ms. Wagaspat with IT has put together a program to relaunch that. And I just wanted to talk about the importance of keeping every dollar in our community, because every job counts, and every service that we perform, whether it be fixing a street, clearing a drain, the primary source of the money to run this government comes from sales taxes. And for a lot of people, buying online has impacted local governments. And if that trend continues, governments will have no alternative but to start raising revenue a different way to perform those services. So I'm excited that the mayor and his administration is relaunching the campaign, and I'd like to let Ms. Wagaspat show us what she's doing. Thank you.
Okay. I just wanted to start by thanking you for letting me speak tonight. And yes, backed by popular demand, we have relaunched the Shop Kenner First campaign. With the 2012 holiday season in full swing, the City of Kenner and KTV is proud to announce the relaunch of the Shop Kenner First campaign. This is a campaign that supports shopping locally, keeping funds in our own community, and supporting our Kenner business owners. With technology soaring to new levels, the popularity of online shopping has increased drastically. Also, with close proximities of other outlets for shopping, such as malls and shops in Metairie, or outlet malls within an hour in each direction, we just felt that it was important that we bring this campaign back to remind our citizens the importance of keeping their funds local. Keeping your funds local is a community reinvestment. As Councilman Stagney said, Kenner's funding is heavily dependent on sales tax revenues, which have been affected by the economic climate that's sweeping our nation. So today, we want to remind residents and business owners to shop locally, to reinvest your funds into the Kenner community. The result of this will be an improvement to Kenner's overall financial state, all public services, and quality of life. From code enforcement to the Kenner Police Department, our Kenner Fire Department, Parks and Recreation, infrastructure projects, corridor redevelopment, and beautification. All facets of city government are impacted by sales tax revenue. Now, what's involved in Shop Kenner First is what began this in 2009 was the distribution of placards to all Kenner business owners and asking them to participate by placing the placard in some conspicuous location in their storefronts. But I just want to remind everyone, this is not limited to shops and shops alone. This is for restaurants. This is for any retailer of any item. We want people to think that when you want to go out and purchase something, that perhaps you will find it in Kenner First. Our avenues for advertisement, however, 3 years later, we obviously have our reliable Kenner TV, which is now available on 2 stations. They have their promotions and billboards, but we also have our City of Kenner website, which will promote this heavily. We have our Kenner Facebook, which will also promote this heavily, and our Kenner Twitter. And this is going to just show you a little.
Are you looking for that perfect holiday gift this season? Well, save time and money by choosing to shop close to home. Help your community and the businesses that support it. Whatever it is you're looking for, chances are you'll find it right here in Kenner.
When I need packaging and shipping, I shop Kenner First.
When I'm looking for paint and supplies, I shop Kenner First.
When I want decorative lighting,
I shop Kenner first. When I need something I know will fit, I shop Kenner first.
When I need lawn equipment, I shop Kenner first.
Well, I'm looking for a bicycle for fitness or for fun. I shop Kenner first.
When I'm shopping for a dress for that very special occasion, I shop Kenner first.
I shop Kenner first.
I shop Kenner first.
Keep our city strong. Shop Kenner first.
Sponsored by KTV 76 and the City of Kenner.
So that's just an example of a promo that's going to be promoted on KTV, the Kenner website, and Facebook, and that is the wonderful talent of our KTV guys. That's Kelly Ladner and Richard Paco. They do a wonderful job, and they are a huge, huge, huge reason that this campaign was successful in 2009, and they're kind of, taking it and running with it again. And these are the placards. They were designed actually by Kelly, and we're going to be redistributing these throughout the city. They're also going to be available in the mayor's office if anyone would like to call up there and make arrangements to pick some up. And I've also put some in the council office for distribution as well. So what we're going to ask for, what we're asking for tonight with this campaign is that a commitment from our community to think before you go out and shop this holiday season and all year around. Think is what the items that am I going to purchase, are they going to be available in Kenner? Think Kenner first. Shop Kenner first. Businesses like my brothers and me, and businesses, Save-A-Lot food stores. These are businesses in all districts. Integrity Carpet. These are all recent businesses that have opened that would appreciate a campaign like this. The Esplanade Mall, Coconut Beach even. The people who attend Coconut Beach, they can maybe see this advertisement and think, where can I go in Kenner to eat after a hard, game or whatever. It's something that they can think of when they leave. These different locations are, will welcome this and welcome the thought from the community. So what we're asking is all business owners to help us raise awareness, spread the word. This is an important campaign that will hopefully, we'll see some results. And as I said, this is the kickoff. We've kicked it off, but we hope to expand upon this tremendously. We ask for input from anyone. Please contact us if you have any ideas or other ways, that we can promote this besides the avenues that I've presented tonight. And again, I thank you all for your time.
Ms. Wagesbeck, are we personally delivering the placards to businesses, or are we asking businesses to come pick them up?
If the businesses are businesses that we've already know from the 2009 campaign, if we're aware that they are going to participate and be a part of it, we already have them listed, we'll contact them and we'll get them distributed to them. We'll also be utilizing our avenues as far as any businesses that we may know of. We're asking our employees. We also sent out an all-city email asking employees who may know business owners. We're trying to distribute them out too. We're not just asking them to come to us.
Because maybe we could have them online for people to print.
We can upload them online for people to print. That's a great idea.
Yeah, because then we wouldn't have to have such an effort to get them out.
But I'm gonna be asking for assistance from the mayor's office, and to actually get them pushed out to the community, and
Okay, and then two other things. One thing that I had talked about a while back, and actually Jedco did meet with me, and it kind of never went anywhere, but something along the lines of there being some sort of incentive for Kenner residents to shop here. For instance, that they're offered a discount if they show proof of residency or what have you. And the reason the idea had come up, I had read about a community where they sold dollars. It was some sort of grant, and it was like 80, you could buy them 70 cents on the dollar, and those dollars could be used at any business within the city of Kenner, and then they could be redeemed, and whatever the grant money was made up the 30 cents of the dollar, so that the city wasn't losing money, but it was an incentive for people to be able to get a 30% discount, I guess, if you will. So I guess you don't have to have something as sophisticated, but if we could have some sort of campaign where businesses offer things to Kenner residents, and we want other people to spend money here. But anyway, those were my two ideas that kind of have never gone anywhere yet. Do we have any Kenner business people here? Because I thought you said...
I did contact a few, and they did say that they were coming, but I don't know if the audience is
Okay,
full.
okay, because I know we kind of moved it to the front to
To
hopefully accommodate them. Okay.
But I haven't, you know.
I'm not holding you responsible.
Okay.
Okay, Councilmember Carroll.
Thank you, Madam President. And I'd like to, thank you first for the hard work that you and your department is doing for this. This is something fantastic. I believe as the economy, as people get more employment, this is a good time for us to be in front of this movement. So as things get better, the city of Kenner will get better. So as people get more job and employment and the business community gets involved, this will be fantastic. And the recommendation that Councilwoman Brannigan made was fantastic. I also would like to be able to support some of the placards myself, because it gives me an opportunity to go around to the businesses when I stop in to have a conversation, and also to be able to promote it, put it in the window. They can make copies of it and pass it out to the people that come by. So I would like to do my part also. If you can, send a number 10 or 15 to my office, I would appreciate that.
They're up there.
They're up there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, fantastic. I'll get them and facilitate it for you. Thank you. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Councilmember DeFrancis. Thank you, Council. Whoops. Yep, I think you canceled the request. There you go. I'll put it on for you.
Thank you, Council President. While I was at a meeting a little while ago, I received a phone call from the representative from the Esplanade Mall, who was supposed to be here tonight, to call me, that unfortunately was unable to come, but wanted me to make sure that he expressed his support for this project and how much he believes in it, not just for people to come to shop at the Esplanade Mall, but believes that this is a great project for the entire city of Kenner, and wanting to encourage everyone to please take a look at every business in Kenner and support it, because it makes such a difference when you spend your money here. But I wanted to say something else. I went home to change before coming to the council meeting, and the lady across the street, a lovely couple that lives across the street from me, called me over to talk to me. And I think this will tell you how people are listening to what we're doing here in the city of Kenner. And she made a comment, I try as much as I can to spend my money in Kenner. In fact, when we wanted to buy a new mattress, I made a point of telling my husband we're going to buy it here in the city of Kenner, and they did. And she said, as often as possible, unless it's absolutely impossible for us to find a particular product here, we always spend our money in Kenner because we know what a difference it makes. And so I wanted to let you know that this project is making a difference. People are listening, and they realize how important it is that they can make a contribution to the well-being of this city, which of course makes it a place where everyone would want to live by spending their money here locally. And I also want to thank KTV, because they did a wonderful project, not only in 2009, but again to resurrect it and move it forward. And you, Ms. Wagaspak, for your work on it as well. And for the administration, again, for supporting it, because this is something all of us can get behind, and make sure that this Christmas and this holiday season and in the future, as often as possible, we look to Kenner first. Thank you.
Councilmember DeNapolis.
Thanks, Madam Chair. And hopefully people, when they're watching KTV, let me tell you, you can actually find a parking spot. You can actually find a cash register when you go to the Esplanade Mall. Okay, try doing that at Lakeside, okay? I mean, I think I bought 11 gifts in about 45 minutes at Esplanade Mall, okay? And I think I spent an hour and a half getting one gift at Lakeside, okay? Plus it took me 30 minutes to park, okay? So just remember that just not far away from Metairie, I mean, we have the Esplanade Mall, got great selection, great parking, and once again, you can find a cash register and check out in about 5 minutes. Thank you.
What'd you get us? Councilmember Stagney.
Thank you, Madam President. Ms. Wagaspak, what about YouTube? Are we doing anything with YouTube? Did you mention that?
The promos are actually uploaded via YouTube, and then the link to YouTube is actually uploaded to the website or to the Kenner TV Facebook or the City of Kenner Facebook, but to the website. So they're actually uploaded via YouTube, and that's the avenue taken to get.
No, there's some penetration going on now because people are starting to talk about this a lot more. So what y'all have already done has done a really good job so far. I think that economic studies, government think tanks, and communities across the country all realize the multiplier effect about buying local and what it does with that reinvestment into the community. So again, great job with you and your staff, Mr. Piku and Mr. Ladner. I often say it's unbelievable what KTV does with the staff that they have, because people would think there are 10 or 12 people, and they're actually only 2 people that work harder than most do.
Yes,
so we
sir.
appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Councilmember Black.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Basically, I was going to say the same thing that Councilman DeNapolis stole from me, but I just want to remind people, when you go to Target in Clearview, do you know what a hassle it is to drive around that parking lot for 20, 25 minutes before you find a spot that's walkable? And then also, our Target, you have ample parking right close to the shopping center, and you also have one floor. There's no getting a buggy up an escalator. You can shop all on one floor. Macy's has some fantastic sales, and as Councilman DeNapolis said, you buy them and you can go right to the register, and people are willing to help you. And not only, if you can't find something, you can find a sales lady, and they'll lead you right to what you're looking for. It's convenient. You can get to it right off of the interstate. Just take the 32nd Street entrance, and you're right there. There's so many qualities and so many things that are good for people to shop there. And you'll never know until you visit there. So we beg you to please try us. We want people to come to Kenner, see the restaurants that we have. Shop Kenner first, please. That's what I did. Thank you.
Councilmember Reyno.
Thank you, Madam President. We also need to share this on Facebook, and I know that the City of Kenner has been putting it on their Facebook page, and we can encourage other Kenner residents to also share it on their Facebook page, and it really can grow real fast. So that's what we're going to be doing, as well as going, like Councilman Carroll said, we'll go from business to business and make sure that it's promoted in our district as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, and I know I've spoken, but I think all the council members would agree that when we do start showing that Kenner spends dollars, that's when all of those places that everybody keeps telling us they want filled will become filled, because companies do impact studies before they come to a community. And if they don't see that there is a demand for people to want to do more shopping, and because you choose to go other places, then there's some responsibility, and those places will continue to be vacant because we're not showing a demand. So do your part. Okay, thank you, Ms. Wagasback.
Thank you.
I got to do your second, you already. Motion, oh, we got to do that, you got to read it in.
Yes, ma'am. The consent agenda. Item 1 is approval of minutes, the regular council meeting of November 15th, 2012. Item 2 is approval of alcoholic beverage permit applications. We have none. Item 3 is approval of bingo and public gathering applications. Item 3A is application number 1721-12, John Schnauder, to hold a public gathering for a New Year's Eve party on December 31st, 2012, from 5 p.m. to 11 p.m., and the 10,000 and 11,000 1000 block and 1100 block of Hudson Street, Kenner, Louisiana. Item 3B is application number 1723-12, City of Kenner, to hold a public gathering for Martin Luther King March on January 21st, 2013, from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at 200 Decatur Street, Kenner, Louisiana. Item 4 is correspondence, reports from mayor, CAO, or department heads. We have none. Item 5 is acceptance, rejection of bids requiring an expenditure of less than $5,000. We have none. Item 6 is change orders requiring an expenditure of less than $5,000. We have none. Item 7 is acceptance of committee findings for final passage. We have none. Item 8 is re-subdivision of ordinances for final passage. We have none.
Motion by Councilmember Brannigan, second by Councilmember Black on consent. Council members, please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 6-1. Councilman DeNapolis did not vote. I'm so sorry. 6-0. Okay. The public appearance agenda. Item 9 is a public hearings for final passage. Item 9A is a public hearing regarding resolution number B-16313, a resolution authorizing the City Council for the City of Kenner to hold a public hearing on Thursday, November 15, 2012, to determine whether or not the buildings located at 3045 Tupelo Street, Kenner, Louisiana, should not be repaired or demolished. Madam Chairman, I've received a request to defer this for one meeting.
Motion by Councilmember Carroll, second by Councilmember Brannigan for a one-meeting deferral. Councilmember Carroll, did you want to speak? No. Okay. Yes. Okay. Councilmember Carroll.
Thank you. Yeah, the reason that we were deferring it one more week, the attorney who representing the family he lives in Baton Rouge, and he had a personal matter that happened en route here. So we felt that it was our goodwill in the city of Kenner to be able to extend him one more meeting day to be able to come here and explain the situation for this property. So that's why we're deferring it for 1 week.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Yes, we want all parties to feel like they had their due process. Council members, for a one-meeting deferral, please vote.
It says November 15th. Ms. Black pointed it out, and she's correct. We probably have to change that date. I think it would look better if you change the date today so that when it is advertised, you have the date listed that you're actually going to hold the public hearing. So I'm going to second Mr. Carroll's motion to change the date to, what is it, 20th, right? The public meeting will be on December 20th.
Okay,
Then-
whoa. We have.
Madam Chairman?
Yes.
Can I have a point of clarification real quick? You cannot change the legislation. The legislation was previously adopted, so all we're doing is referencing an old piece of legislation that was previously adopted. This item has been deferred and deferred and deferred. That's why it reflects the original public hearing date. So you cannot really amend an old piece of legislation that's already been adopted to
And
reflect.
advertised.
Well, and it's actually not advertised, but only on the agenda is it advertised. It's not in the newspaper, it's only on our agenda.
Okay. Oh, first of all, we just took a vote, so we need to either clear the vote if we want further discussion on this. So please clear the voting machine from the previous vote.
Just hit end vote.
And let's ask our city attorney.
End vote, yeah, it's fine.
Okay, just a second. Mr. Conley.
No, the council clerk's correct. This legislation's already been voted on. We've continued the matter on behalf of the landowner and their attorney. So as long as he gets proper notice, that'll suffice.
Okay. Councilmember Black?
Oh, you can stay right there for now.
Mr. Conley, I would think that, has this meeting ever been held? It has not been held on November 15th. It has never taken place. Is that correct?
It was deferred.
We had a meeting on.
It was deferred.
It was deferred?
Right.
Okay, so in other words, this has not been voted on, and when it comes up for adoption, when it is no longer deferred and it comes back on the agenda, it's my understanding that then you can amend the legislation to reflect the date in which the public hearing will actually be held, because in fact, the public hearing has not been held.
The public hearing hadn't been held, but this legislation has already been voted on, as indicated.
Call it. If I can clarify, please, the final piece of legislation that will determine what the council approves, if it's demolition or whatever it is, then that legislation can reflect the correct public hearing date that determination was made in the final legislation. You're correct, Councilwoman Black.
Thank you.
All right, Councilmember Stagney, you've spoken once. Is there something that makes this change?
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to know when we took a vote on this legislation. Right. So we didn't take a vote on the legislation. We voted to defer it. If we were to vote on it, we would have passed it or failed it. We deferred it. So we didn't dispose of the legislation by passing it or failing it. I think we should, maybe we're not writing it correctly, but to keep the old public hearing date on this, I just don't think that looks good. We ought to put what date we're going to have the public hearing.
Well, the original date of the public hearing was going to be November 15th. What happened is that was deferred and deferred and deferred, but we can't amend that piece of legislation that was approved calling that original public hearing. We can't determine whether or not something's going to be deferred until it comes up for public hearing.
Okay, so do we understand that we call for these public hearings to be held? So we voted to call for a public hearing on November 15th, which was the proper procedure. Now that we called for it, the action that we take on it follows the legislation. It doesn't, we don't have to change the date. We called for it on the 15th, but it has been deferred and is recorded as deferred from that date. Okay? And as such, we shouldn't even be voting, shouldn't even be discussing. Yeah, we shouldn't be. Well, we're discussing, yeah, that's true. We should only be discussing whether or not to defer it, and Councilmember Carroll wants to defer it, so council members, please vote. That's true.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0 to defer for one meeting. Item 9B is a public hearing regarding summary ordinance number 11,420, an ordinance approving the sale of a portion of unimproved Georgia Avenue located at Square 413 Highway Park subdivision, which said property is owned by the City of Kenner.
Motion by, well, I'm sorry.
Madam Chairman, yes, I've received a request to defer this indefinitely.
Motion by Councilmember Stagney, second by Councilmember Black. Councilmember Stagney on deferral.
Thank you, Madam President. It's a motion to indefinitely defer, so we're going to dispose of this legislation to work out. We've had one meeting with this property owner, and I've heard from the adjacent property owners, and we're going to work with the administration to come up with something that would satisfy all the property owners. Thank you, Madam President.
Council members, please vote on indefinite deferral.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Item 9C is a public hearing regarding summary ordinance number 11,427, an ordinance approving the text amendment to ordinance number 2427, the City of Kenner Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance, more specifically amending Article 3, Section 3.02A, definitions by adding a new subsection 49A, defining a funeral home use in accordance therewith.
Motion by Councilmember Black, second by Councilmember Reynaud. Oh, I'm sorry, Councilmember Reynaud, second by Councilmember Black. To open public hearing. Council members, please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0 to open your public hearing.
We're now in a public hearing regarding summary ordinance number 11,427, and I think we have a presentation by Mr. J. Hebert. Mr. Hebert.
Thank you, Council President. The Louisiana Board of Embalmers and Funeral Directors is the agency that regulates the operation of funeral home establishments within the state. Now, the City of Kenner's comprehensive zoning ordinance regulates the use of funeral homes on private property. We regulate them to our general office district as well as our C2 general commercial district. What we are lacking and don't have at this time is a definition in our comprehensive zoning ordinance for a funeral home. So what we're recommending at this time, along with the Planning Commission, is that we amend our CZO, our definition section 3.02A, to add or insert a definition for a funeral home. The verbiage for the funeral home definition would read as follows: a use that's duly licensed by the Louisiana State Board of Embalmers and Funeral Directors as a funeral establishment and in accordance with Louisiana state law. Now, Section 39 of Louisiana Revised Statute 37-381 currently defines a funeral establishment. So our proposed definition simply reflects that the state defines a funeral home establishment and that their definition takes precedence.
Thank you, Mr. Hebert. Is there anyone else wishing to address the council on this subject matter? Motion by Councilmember Reyno, second by Councilmember Black to close public hearing. Council members, please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0 to close.
Motion by Councilmember Reyno, second by Councilmember Black. Councilmember Reyno, did you wish to say? There you go.
Thank you, Madam President. I have a few questions. Was there something that initiated this to, I mean, what went on that y'all all of a sudden decided to make these changes? Was there something specific that happened that this was brought to your attention?
What had occurred was that there was a funeral home establishment that was looking to sell retail use only. That is what spurred this issue. The City of Kenner regulates funeral homes. We don't have a definition for a funeral home. So all we're simply doing for clarity is providing a definition, not for the operation of a funeral home, but the way it is used. And the state regulates funeral home establishment. So state law takes the precedence. They have a definition for a funeral establishment. Our definition just simply reflects the state's definition for a funeral establishment. So for instance, if the state ever revises its definition, we do not have to because it reflects the state's definition.
Okay. I have another question. Mrs. Shaw, do you know how many occupational licenses are currently issued in the City of Kenner to funeral home establishments?
At this time,
In our city?
in our city, I'm only aware of 2 at this time.
Okay. And will this affect either of those 2 funeral establishments in getting an occupational license and doing business in the City of Kenner?
We do not believe that it will.
Not now and not in the future?
Not in the future, not now, not in the future. And I think we've spoken to the city attorney and in the planning department, and we're comfortable that they may continue to operate as a funeral home establishment under state law.
That answers my questions. Thank you.
Okay. I'm going to be a little more specific, I think, with kind of one of the things that may have started this. So, Mr. Hebert, correct me if I'm wrong. There was a business that came into the City of Kenner that located in District 3 that sold services. It sold cremation services. It did not take in bodies. It did not embalm. It did not care for the bodies. It did not cremate on site. It simply sold the service to the family. So if a family wanted to go there and make a, buy that service, the body would be brought to a different location. It would, everything would be done there. This was simply like an office. But when they went in to apply for whatever permits or what have you, I think that we were caught a little off guard because they didn't really fall into the definition of much of anything. And so while it wasn't a funeral home, as we think of it, I mean, things change over the course of our life that we couldn't have predicted that you would just go to another place to buy a service, but that's what's happened. So Mr. Hebert had decided to look into it and really define it so that if in the event this came about again, that there would be something on the books which would direct us as to how to properly license them and where to let them properly operate their business. It was determined that they could operate there under the zoning that was in place, but if they had been a funeral home, that would not be the case. It actually abuts residential property, and that would have not then been the proper zoning for that type of business. So I think that's what initially got the ball rolling, and we often find that there are things that we could never have imagined that would have to be addressed in our code of ordinances. And so it gives us the opportunity to research it, see what other communities have done, perhaps see how they're regulated by whatever, and in this case the state, and then use those parameters for making a definition so we can address the question in the future. So that is the problem, as I appreciate it, was did that kind of cover it? Okay. All right. Seeing no further discussion, council members, please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Item 9D is a public hearing regarding summary ordinance number 11,428, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a cooperative endeavor agreement between the City of Kenner and the State of Louisiana Department of Public Safety and Corrections for the use and occupancy of office space located at 421 Williams Boulevard, Kenner, Louisiana, to provide convenient access to efficient, effective, and useful public services and other related matters.
Motion by Councilmember Carroll, second by Councilmember Black to open a public hearing. Council members, please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0.
We're now in a public hearing regarding summary ordinance number 11,428. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to address the council on this subject matter? Motion by Councilmember Carroll, second by Councilmember Black to close public hearing. Council members, please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0 to close your public hearing.
Motion by Councilmember Carroll, second by Councilmember Black. Councilmember Carroll, did you wish to open? Wait a second. Ms. Black, if you take your light off. Councilmember Carroll, if you put yours on. Thank you. Okay, you can now. Councilmember Carroll.
Thank you, Madam President. Before we vote on this, there were a couple of things that I thought was important that we talk about as it relates to this new contract for the City of Kenner. And Attorney Roussel is not here, so I will address the questions to Attorney Conley to answer and to address the 3 or 4 questions that I have. First, let me say that, as you all know, the Rivertown area, which is part of the district that I represent, along with the Rivertown Advisory Committee, has been a group trying to do things to stimulate motion down in the historic part of Kenner. As you know, last week we passed something for the entertainment district. We have the new theater coming up. We have businesses coming. So we have been doing a lot of things. This was something that the administration, particularly the mayor, had a big part in trying to do something else. And during our meetings for the Rivertown Advisory Committee, there were some concerns for some of the people that we may have been straying away from what we really wanted to do in the area. But, and there was almost a feeling of being afraid to try to do something more. But I want to commend Mayor Yenny that, you can't always be afraid to do something and not do it, thinking that something bad is going to happen. So I'm glad that he was in a position where he was, and he may want to tell the story about how all this came about with him. But to be able to have the foresight to say, listen, we cannot always think something bad is going to happen. We have to go forward. So I'm glad we went forward. Now, there were some questions, I think legitimate questions that came about after this. And, and first let me say that the OMV, which we're going to be talking about, is the same as the DMV. The name changed a couple of years ago, but people still use it interchangeably, the OMV and the DMV. So that's what we're talking about. But the first question was as far as it relates to a fee. And if Mr. Connolly can address that, there's $3 fee that is part of this legislation.
You're correct, Councilman. It's a $3 convenience fee on certain transactions that occur in the office. That fee is going to be collected. That fee is going to be collected by the state and put in an account a state account that's dedicated to the City of Kenner, and at least monthly they will turn the money over to our finance department.
Right. So the fee will only apply only if you decide to go to this facility to transact any type of information or license or anything relating to driving. Only then. It will not be charged to anyone. Only if you choose to go to this. If you choose to go somewhere else, well, that's your opinion. That's your option to do that. But only if you go there. Also, as far as it relates to the way the contract reads, our ability to be able to stop it if things aren't going accordingly as we feel beneficial for the city. Attorney Conley, can you also address that a little bit?
That's correct. And back to the fee, this is a customary fee that is used across the state. The OMV has similar agreements with other cities for the convenience of the constituents and the neighbors and the citizens. Some people would rather pay the $3 fee and go to the nearest OMV than travel a distance. We do have termination clauses throughout the agreement. One is, of course, if the OMV doesn't uphold to their end of the agreement. And two, we do, as we try to put in all our leases and agreements, have a termination for convenience, meaning if there comes a time when the council determines there's a better use of that property, or let's say the council didn't appropriate any money to upkeep that property, we'll be able to get out without any ramifications.
Right. So here again, we've done our due diligence to be able to look into this to assure that if things aren't going well, we will have our eyes and ears in this part of the town, along with Chief Caraway and his officers, just to make sure that the quality of life for the city of Kenner that we all have come accustomed to is being carried out. So there's another, thing that we're going to be doing to watch that. And also as it relates to the funding that we will be receiving, Attorney Connolly, how will it and where will it only be able to be used at?
The $3 fee on each transaction that qualifies for it is dedicated to that center. It could be used for the actual build-out, for the improvements of the surrounding area, for lighting, for pest control, contributions to the insurance. It's all spelled out in about 3 or 4 different clauses in this contract. But it's gonna be put right back into the property. I don't suspect there'll be any surplus at the end of the year.
Right. So here again, the money generated will be able to fix a number of things that are in dire straits in the Rivertown area to improve it, to always improve on it. So this is a plus also. So we have the fee that if you choose to go there, you don't have to go there. We have the ability to end the contract if we choose to end it, if things aren't going well, and the money will be spent only in this particular area. So again, I said, and I like, if the mayor doesn't mind, I would like for him just to mention a little bit how this came about and, how things go. Coincidental, if you're in the right place at the right time, good things happen, you find out. So I would appreciate you telling a little bit about it, Mayor, and how the advantage it will be to us.
Well, I can honestly say up until just recently, I've never lost my license in my entire life up until there was a possible boat sinking. And I was in this boat when it was sinking and trying to salvage it, and my license was in my pocket because you need to have your license with you when you operate a boat. And the license somehow floated away. So I had to go get a new license, and when I was there, I will say the service has much improved with the Office of Motor Vehicles since I first had to get one 4 years prior to that. And the manager running the facility said, "Oh, Mary Yenny, how are you? I'm a Kenner resident." And so we were starting to talk, and she said, "I just want you to know, you're going to have to come to 100 veterans from now on to get your license, and unfortunately you can only get one that's going to be good for a year because you're within the 6 months, so you can't get a new 4-year one." So I said, "Oh, that's fine." And so I said, 100 veterans. We don't have a 100 veterans that I'm aware of in Kenner." And she said, "Oh, no, it's not in Kenner, it's in New Orleans." And I said, "Really? So what's happening to this location?" She says, "It's totally shut down." And I said, "Well, why didn't y'all come back to Kenner?" And she said, "Well, it was the state's prerogative, and that was the old Troop B site. They own that land, so they wanted to go back there." I said, "Well, we need to get something happening here in Kenner, and because for no facility on the western part of Jefferson Parish, as East Bank, to have a DMV, OMV, we've got to do something." So I met with Parish President Young, Senator Martini, Senator Smith. We reached out to Representative Legee and Representative Wilmot, and they didn't really know about it. They didn't know that this had transpired and that they were taking one out of Jefferson Parish. So I said, "Look, we've got buildings. Let's go see buildings." And Colonel Edmondson sent some representatives down to say, "Let's look at what you've got." We showed them the Mardi Gras Museum. They said, this is ideal for us. This will work." And so it just kind of went from there. And the location on Airline gets about, I think it's about 1,200 to 1,300 people daily. So let's just be conservative and say we should hopefully get most people to the west of Cleary, because you got to figure the people to the east of Cleary are going to, just out of convenience, go to New Orleans. Hopefully we'll get 400 to 500 people down into Rivertown that wouldn't typically be in Rivertown, and those restaurants may get some customers, those stores may get some customers out of this. So we hope this will help, be an engine to run that facility, getting 300 to 400 people daily. So we certainly hope that. We definitely, as Councilman Carroll knows, having depleted our funds on maintenance of all those facilities down there, it kind of runs us dry. This is much needed revenue, so we can do some much needed roof repairs, fix the parking lot, put a nice crosswalk in to make it easy for people to get across the street. And this all is coming about at the same time where the planning department got us that beautification grant. So there'll be a lot happening in that area, and it'll look nice and service the citizens of the western part of the East Bank of Jefferson Parish. So,
thank you. And I mean, that's how things happen sometimes, for someone being in the right place at the right time. I really believe that this will be a benefit for the city of Kenner. But even with that, we will be able to, and we will be monitoring this to make sure that the quality of life, because, you know, I live real close to the area. Our related Perpetual Health Church is right there. We have a number of things that we hold dearly in our heart. So we will not want anything to be disturbed or to be disrespectful for the area. So we will be monitoring very closely to ensure that we maintain, you know, all of the sanctity, all of the observance that we feel is respectful for that area. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilman Carroll. Councilmember Black.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You know, growing up in the city of Kenner, if anybody would have told me that we were going to have the Register of Voters office in Kenner and the motor vehicle office in Kenner, I would have got, gosh, we got a long way to go. Of course, you know, as everybody teases me about, we had just gravel streets there and open ditches at the time, but that's not true. But I just want to tell you that I'm really thrilled. Thank you, Greg, for asking all the technical questions. Thank you, Mayor, for, as Greg said, being in the right place at the right time. And I've got to tell you from future history, when my husband had to renew his driver's license, and we went to the office on Airline. We were there 3 hours. So this time when he had to renew it, we went to Luling to get it because it was so much easier. It took us like 7 minutes. So I'm hoping that the city of Kenner will be the same way. And that's not anything illegal.
No, he doesn't want anybody to know.
But we want to tell you, I just want to tell you how thrilled I am that this will be accessible to the residents of Kenner. And besides that, one of our Kenner residents, who's been a resident of Kenner for 40-something years, she is the general manager there, and she's thrilled that this is opening up. And the date that it'll be opening up is the end of January. So it'll take us that much time to get it together, but by the end of January, we will be having that business, the motor vehicle office open. And the parking, I assume we'll have ample parking across the street in the Rivertown, a big parking lot across from the exhibition hall. So we're happy that this is more progress, Mayor. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Carroll, for being involved in it, and I look forward to seeing it open so that next time I have to renew my license, I can go right in Kenner. Thank you.
Councilmember Stagney.
Thank you, Madam President. Another service in Kenner, Shop Kenner First, Keep Kenner Strong, Shop Kenner First. I know the $3 transaction or service fee is going to be used for further renovation, but I want to make sure in either the contract, the cooperative endeavor, and or the legislation, is it specifically spelled out that that money stays in that area for improvements beyond, let's say, any renovation that we're doing?
Yeah, Councilman, it does. Under Kenner's responsibilities, says the money's dedicated to improving lighting, drainage, landscaping, roadways, parking areas, walkways which are needed for the OMV office. The city shall maintain the property and provide janitorial services. So all the money, the intent of this legislation as well as the agreement is to improve that area and to welcome visitors that come in so that they'll
Is your interpretation that it is mandated to be spent in that area?
Well, it's we've contracted.
Because I want to make sure. I mean, the purpose it's a great purpose to bring people, but when you do that, you have to improve infrastructure as well. And I want to make sure. I see where it spells out that solely that fee will be used for that. But I anticipate a time when the fee would outstrip the renovation just for that building and parking lot. And I want to make sure that that money stays in that general vicinity, I guess the historical district.
Anything to enhance that area for that department, and it's even spelled out on Exhibit A is the agreement that we signed with the state, and they're so serious about it that if there's any surplus funds left over, it has to go back to the state.
Oh, it won't be left over. You don't have to worry about that.
Right.
But your interpretation is to spend it in that area.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you.
Councilmember DeFrancis.
Right now, okay. Thank you, Council President. And I just want to point out and remind everyone, not only is this a great convenience for the people who need to renew their license, et cetera, but even though you're paying that extra $3, the convenience and the money you'll save in gas will make it more than worthwhile. So think about that and use those services here in Kenner. Thank you.
Okay, turn off your request. Okay, there you go. And I just wanted to add that, you know, a lot of times when we tell people about, for instance, the register of voters, they say, oh, you know, that's for Kenner. They in their mind, they think it's just for Kenner. It's for anybody in all of Jefferson Parish. It's the Jefferson Parish Register of Voters. And in this case, this is a state-issued document. So this is for anybody in the whole state. And like Councilmember Black was saying earlier, she went all the way to Luling because it was, you know, it just went quicker. Maybe it was less people to service or what have you. I'm not going to say where, but there's a place in Metairie that does renewal of licenses and issuing of licenses and tags and what have you. And they charge more than $3 for a convenience fee. But a lot of people go there. A lot of people go there. I thought it was the best kept secret in East Jefferson, but it's not, because a lot of people know about it just because it's so much more convenient and people's time is much more valuable than the couple of dollars that it costs them. So I feel like this is going to be very successful, you know, and hopefully we'll have people coming from long distances to us like we did. Yeah, so anyway, we don't want it to be the best kept secret, but only when we need to go, I guess. But we're just so excited that we've been able to, I don't know, put Rivertown in front of everybody as a place of service. It's the most mixed-use area that we have in the whole city of Kenner, and that is really what every community is moving towards, is mixed-use areas where there's residential on top of commercial, on top of service, on top of restaurants, and Rivertown truly is that type of development. So we hope that people are discovering it because of the services that are being offered there. And we want everybody who's within our viewing audience to know, and everybody who'll listen to us to know, that you don't have to be just a resident of the city of Kenner or even just a resident of Jefferson Parish for that matter to utilize these services. So, okay, seeing no further discussion, council members, please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Item 9E is a public hearing regarding summary ordinance number 11,429, an ordinance authorizing an increase in the salary of Wendy Foles as the Director of Personnel Department.
Motion by Councilmember Black, second by Councilmember Brannigan to open public hearing. Council members, please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0.
We're now in a public hearing regarding summary ordinance number 11,429. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to address the council? Motion by Councilmember Black, second by Councilmember Brannigan to close public hearing. Council members, please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0.
Motion by Councilmember Black, second by Councilmember Brannigan. Councilmember Black.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. You know, when I first heard that our former director was going to be retiring, I thought, gee, I sure hope Wendy Foles gets that position, because she was, whenever Ms. Nicolosi wasn't there, everybody went to Wendy. And she knows how to run the department. She's very, very experienced. She's been there a number of years. I'm thrilled for her. And when I heard that she was going to be appointed to that, I wrote a little memo to the mayor saying, thank you, Mayor, for not going outside of the city. We had a very capable person to run it, and I'm very proud that she was selected, because I've known her for a long time, and I know what a good job she does. So congratulations, Wendy. You deserve everything you're getting, dear. Thank you.
Councilmember, Councilmember Carroll.
Thank you, Madam President. And I too like to echo Councilwoman Black's comments. When I first got on the council, there was a number of questions that I needed to get answered, and Ms. Foles was right there on it, and some things I did not do correctly. And in her professional way, she advised me of those mistakes and guided me in the right direction. So I think Ms. Foles would do a fantastic job, and look forward to her working still on more years within the city of Kenner and the Human Resources Department. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Councilmember DeNapolis.
Wendy, likewise, I just want to echo what Councilwoman Black and everybody said. You've always done a great job for years here in the city. And, I mean, I call you in a second, and you have it done. I mean, it really is good. And, by the way, I want to thank you for all the help Sunday. The kids really enjoyed it. And thank you. And hopefully won't give you too many headaches as being a director. Thanks.
Seeing no further discussion, council members, please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Item 9F is a public hearing regarding summary ordinance number 11,433, an ordinance authorizing the annexation of an existing portion of Lake Town and the planned addition to Lake Town, which are currently located in unincorporated Jefferson Parish, referred to as West Annex Area and East Annex Area, per a plan by BFM Corporation, project number 7834, dated June 15, 2012, and provided for related matters.
Motion by Councilmember Reyno, second by Councilmember Black to open public hearing. Oh, no.
I've received a request to defer this for 2 meetings, please.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Reyno, second by Councilmember Black for a 2-meeting deferral. Just as an explanation, because we find, Councilmember Black and I were talking earlier, that at the last meeting, we seem to defer so many items. So when we have an explanation, we'd like to give it to you, that this will be addressed at a parish council meeting, which is the order in which it has to be considered before we can consider it. And that meeting will be held next week. So can I ask why 2-meeting deferral instead of at our next meeting when it will have already been addressed at the parish council meeting?
Actually,
Let me.
The administration had asked for a 1-meeting deferral, and I didn't know that they had asked, so I wasn't sure.
Okay, so can I ask the administration, do we want to remove that? I mean, do you want a 2-meeting deferral?
No, I want a 1-meeting deferral.
Okay, so let's remove that. Is that okay? I mean, that's what we want, right?
Yes.
Okay, we'll remove that motion in second. We'll do Councilmember Reyno for 1-meeting deferral, Councilmember Black second. Okay, good.
Okay.
Seeing no discussion, council members, please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0 to defer for 1 meeting. Item 10 is opening of bids.
We have none.
We have,
Sorry.
sorry. Item 11 is reclassification of zoning for final passage. Item 11A is a public hearing regarding summary ordinance number 11,433, an ordinance authorizing the annexation. What happened? Why is it wrong? I know, but why is it wrong? It's wrong. It says 11A. I'm so sorry, madam. Item 11A is a public hearing regarding summary ordinance number 11,426, an ordinance approving the plan of re-subdivision of partial Y, square 5 into partial Y1 and Y2, Redwood Park subdivision, Kenner, Louisiana, and amending ordinance number 2427, the City of Kenner comprehensive zoning ordinance by rezoning existing partial X and proposed partial Y1, square 5 from R3 multifamily residential to C2 general commercial, and rezoning proposed partial Y2 square 5 from R3 multifamily residential to R1 single family residential.
Motion by Councilmember Stagney, second by Councilmember Black to open public hearing. Council members, please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0.
We're now in a public hearing regarding summary ordinance number 11,426. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to address the council on this subject matter? Mr. Hebert.
Thank you, Council President. Parcels X and Y front West Esplanade Avenue, and they are generally bounded by Roosevelt Boulevard to the east and Williams Boulevard to the west, located in Council District 2. Parcels X and Y previously contained a multifamily residential complex. The complex was substantially damaged as a result of Hurricane Katrina and demolished shortly afterwards. The parcels are currently undeveloped. The parcels are zoned R3 multifamily residential. Parcels X and Y are located in an area that primarily contains residential uses, including 1-family, 2-family, and 3- and 4-family residential. The Williams Boulevard corridor is located adjacent to the west. The purpose for the re-subdivision is to accommodate the future development of commercial uses on new parcels, or new parcel Y1, and for the future development of single-family residential uses on new parcel Y2. Existing parcel Y1 consists of 7.6 acres. It measures 855 feet by 375 feet. The utilities are located along the perimeters of the site. There is a 10-foot energy servitude located along the south perimeter of the property. Proposed parcel Y1 will consist of 6.5 acres. It will measure 765 feet by 375 feet. It will front along West Esplanade Avenue. Proposed parcel Y2 will consist of 45,000 square feet. It will measure 120 feet by 375 feet. It will front along Roosevelt Boulevard at the corner of West Esplanade. The proposed re-subdivision meets the minimum lot area of the requirements of both the general commercial district and the R1 single-family residential district. In terms of rezoning, existing parcels X and Y have had the current zoning designation of R3 dating as far back as 1976, at which time they contained the Redwood apartment complex. Existing parcel X is located adjacent east of the Williams Boulevard corridor. The applicant proposes to use parcel X for future neighborhood and general commercial purposes. Parcel Y1 will be used in conjunction with parcel X for future neighborhood and general commercial uses as well. Proposed parcel Y2 fronts along Roosevelt Boulevard and will be subdivided in the future to accommodate single-family residential uses. Now, the proposed commercial and single-family residential use of existing parcel X and proposed parcels Y1 and Y2 are consistent with the Pattern for Progress future land use plan, which recommends residential and commercial development for the site. The subject site is located in an area with adequate infrastructure, convenient access to the existing roadway network. Based on its geographic location, vehicular traffic would only be accessed to the site from West Esplanade Avenue. Any additional public improvements needed to access the future use of the site will be based on the design of the commercial development. The Planning Department and Planning Commission both recommend approval.
Thank you, Mr. Hebert. And now, anyone from the public? Please come forward. Motion by Councilmember Stagney, second by Councilmember Black to close public hearing. Council members, please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0.
Motion by Councilmember Stagney, second by Councilmember Black. Councilmember Stagney, could you put, you don't have a screen? Oh, could you take the voting screen off so we can?
Sorry.
There we go. Councilmember Stagney.
Thank you, Madam President. This parcel of land is one of the biggest vacant parcels of land in the entire city. This has been years in the making, the redevelopment of it or changing of the zoning. I want to thank Kenner Development and the Redwood Park Parcel LLC for bringing this before us. As Mr. Hebert said, this property is compatible and harmonious with both the Pattern for Progress and its neighbors, having commercial on the west side and residential on its east side. Essentially, the question before this body is whether we want to keep that property as R3 multifamily, enabling somewhere around 500 high-density apartments, or do we want to change the zoning to C2, where in a sliver along Roosevelt Boulevard, which we took great effort to make sure that that was compatible with the housing across the street, and bring in more tax dollars for property taxes, enable the city to probably get more sales taxes by developing it as a C2 piece of property. The process that we used early on when I was elected in 2006, I promised the Highway Park community, which is directly impacted by this land, that I would hold a public meeting separate and apart from the planning process. We did that in this chambers before the planning process started. Everybody in the community had received a letter. There's some, I don't know, 1,600 homes. We probably had 20 people show up. Of those 20, all 20 were not only supportive, they were enthusiastically supportive of changing the zoning because of what any property owner could come in and put up there. So after that, there was a planning process that went in place where the Planning Commission heard this after it being advertised to the general public, the entire city twice. They passed it unanimously. I'm excited about the prospects out there. Mr. Khan, we've met with him several times. While he hasn't disclosed what he wants to put there, I'm certain that he would not endeavor down this road and expend the amount of money and time and effort that he spent unless he had some things in order. So I'm excited that this is going to go to a higher and better use. They've taken great time and effort. I appreciate everything that they've done, and I appreciate Mr. Howie Raymond and everything that he's done. I know since Katrina, when these apartments were knocked down, he had every opportunity to come in and just put up, 500 apartments if he wanted to, but he consistently worked with this city so that we had some type of controlled growth that would satisfy all, himself, this city, and the adjoining property owners. So I want to thank them. I'd ask for my colleagues' support. This is going to, as I said, bring higher property taxes, bring in sales taxes, and we're going to bring some more people across the street from those on Roosevelt. Just so you know, it will be buffered on all sides of the project, whatever that project may be, or whatever businesses will come in through a servitude. And because we all passed a good landscaping ordinance, you're going to have that buffered as well. So this ought to be a nice project that the administration and the city and the property owner can be very proud of. And I'd ask for your support. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Councilmember DeNapolis.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Joe, what a great piece of legislation, I want to tell you. This has been, I think after Katrina and after the Redwood apartments were demolished, everybody in the city, all the way to my district, Joe, we're talking about what's going to happen next there, okay? Because I believe what you believe. There is enough multifamily in Kenner. We don't need any more. We don't need the impact that 500, would put on that piece of property. We don't need that here in Kenner. And I can tell you, I know while the Redwood apartments were there at that time, I know it taxied our city, our police department, and things like that. So I can tell you that this is great. I'm glad to see it happen. At least I can answer a lot of questions that my constituents want to answer, and it's a great switch. I know I had the same situation in my district to take out some multifamily and put some commercial in. It's a win-win situation for not only the surrounding community but the city as well. You ought to be applauded for this, Joe. Very good. Thank you.
Councilmember Black.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Pardon me. I tend to agree with everything, Councilman DeNapolis. You keep stealing my statements tonight. But Joe, Councilman Stagney, everybody was concerned about this development. When Redwood Apartments first opened up, in all fairness, though, it was a quality development because a lot of the Saints players lived there and everything. But as the years go on, things wear down and lose their, their modern
luster.
What did you say?
Luster.
Luster. Yeah, good word. Good word. And so I just want to commend Councilman Stagney because a lot of preparation came into this, town hall meetings, and I know I went to a couple of them. There was people would call and say, what's going on there? We saw them driving some pylons. I'm telling them it's test pylons and we really don't know. Well, I'm very happy to see that this is going to be a a development that will satisfy the surrounding neighborhoods. The houses that you have facing Roosevelt at the present time, they would have liked to have seen some other residential properties facing them. That was taken into consideration, zoning the eastern portion into residential. And then, as he said, the buffer. So I don't want to be repetitive, but everything that has been put into this, it was due to a lot of work by the councilman and cooperating with the neighbors and the developers, and I'm very happy to see the results because it was a large piece of property that everybody had concern about. So thank you, Mr. Stagney, and thank you, the developers, and thank you, Mr. Huddleston. I mean, not Mr. Dorvan. No, that's Howie Raymond. But those were the owners. That's why I said that. I've been around a long time, huh? So we want to thank you and look forward to the development, opening up and cutting some more ribbons and getting some more sales tax. Thank you.
Right, and I'll just add to that property tax, because when we get development there, obviously the property will be more valuable and we'll be able to collect more property tax, which is what we've, tried to do with all the vacant land in Kenner, from the airport properties to other vacant properties that we've had, is put them back into commerce. And one thing that I just want to address, because it's something that all of us get asked whenever a new development comes to the city of Kenner, people say, why are we going to build more commercial when we have so many vacant pieces of property? And my answer to that is, what would Chateau Boulevard be like once Walmart left? We developed the Walgreens and the Sake Cafe and the Reginelli's and that entire center, and we developed that little strip along West Esplanade with Georgie's Hair Studio and a little Chateau Cafe. Has 2 locations within close proximity. And across from that, we had the CVS come and redevelop. And then what would, Williams Boulevard at West Napoleon and West Metairie look like if we hadn't allowed people to develop their property and improve certain areas with other big box places that they just built to suit their own needs? It's almost like if you build it, others will come. That synergy just brings more success. And so I think Chateau and West Esplanade has both things. You can see where it has vacant properties and you can see where it has new developed that is thriving. So there is no, wisdom to why some of these big boxes stay empty and some of the newer ones, maybe that's what people are looking for. And maybe it makes the older centers have to raise their game so that they can appeal to the people who are looking to come here, because we do have people that talk to us every day. So I would say, I am thrilled that we're going to have a project that we can be proud of, and again, an opportunity for more revenue, but also for that synergy that all of those new developments bring. And to close, Councilmember Stagney.
Thank you, Madam President. Just the sale of this property from one owner to the other will increase our property taxes because the owner has had this property for such a long time. And I want to say this, I said it at the public meeting. I think too many times people did not appreciate the Redwood Apartments. They served a very useful purpose in our community. I thank them. For many years, there was a large Hispanic population that resided there. And they called it home, and today we are home to many Hispanic households. So I thank them for what they did in our community, and I want to thank the Kahn family for investing in the city of Kenner. We welcome you with open arms. This administration, this council, I think with the meetings that we've had, Mr. Hebert and his department, we will go the extra yard or the extra mile so that you will find us business-friendly and a good working partner for your development. So I thank you for coming to the city of Kenner, and I thank my colleagues for their support.
Seeing no further discussion, council members, please vote. And ignore what the screen says. We are voting on the proper legislation. Okay? We're having a little bit of glitches down there. So please vote. Or not. There we go.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Item 12 is other ordinances for final passage. Item 12A, we took it at earlier juncture. Item 13 is resolutions and motions by council members. Item 13A is a resolution temporarily suspending Council Rule Number 11 of the Rules of Organization, Business, Order, and Procedure of the Council of the City of Kenner and rescheduling the Kenner City Council agenda deadline to December 28, 2012 at noon for the council meeting of January 3rd, 2013.
Motion by Councilmember Black, second by Councilmember Brannigan. This is simply a bookkeeping around the holidays. We have to be, watch for the deadlines of where we advertise our legislation, and therefore we have to adjust those dates from time to time. And obviously around the holidays, there's a lot of days which fall on holidays that we can't use as days to advertise. Council members, please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Item 13B is a resolution temporarily suspending Council Rule Number 7 of the Rules of Organization, Business, Order, and Procedure of the Council of the City of Kenner and rescheduling the Kenner City Council meeting of July 4, 2013 to July 11, 2013.
Motion by Councilmember Brannigan, second by Councilmember Black. Another just housekeeping item. Obviously, July 4th is a holiday. Typically, if there's 5 Thursdays, we tried to spread out the 2 meetings, but there's only 4 in July, so we'll have back-to-back meetings July 11th and the 18th for that month. So, council members, please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Item 13C is a resolution accepting and adopting the System Survey and Compliance Questionnaire from the Legislative Auditor of the State of Louisiana.
Motion by Councilmember Stagney, second by Councilmember Black. Councilmember Stagney.
Thank you, Madam President. Mr. McConnell, this is the same questionnaire that gets filled out year in and year out. Explain why we're doing this.
Excuse me. In connection with our annual audit. What we're required to do is we fill it out, basically answering that we're in compliance with the various laws related to finances and things of that nature. Then the council adopts it. We give it to our auditors who are currently doing the audit, and they review it. If they think that there's anything where we're not in compliance, then they're required to report that to the legislative auditor.
And they submit this questionnaire as well as part of their audit?
No, it's just for their purposes, for them to review it while they're doing their audit and determine if we're in compliance.
And there's no, this is basically the same thing we've submitted before, other than maybe some name changes on Kenner officials, is that correct?
Yeah, the questions are all the same as previous years.
Thank you.
Seeing no further discussion, council members, please vote. Well, you'll have to mark her absent.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Item 13D is a resolution notifying Mayor Mitch Landrieu, the New Orleans City Council, and the New Orleans Aviation Board of the City of Kenner's request for an extension of the December 31st, 2012 deadline for the upgrade of taxi cabs.
Motion by Councilmember DeNapolis, second by Councilmember DeFrancis. Councilmember DeNapolis.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I realize, how many taxi cabs do we have in the drivers do we have in the audience today? I just want to see. That's quite a bit of businesses that we have here in Kenner, and that's what the concern of this legislation here is today. There was a process, and of course we heard early on that there was some changes being made at the airport. And of course there's actually myself, Councilwoman DeFrances, and Councilman Carroll, who are on the taxi cab committee here in Kenner. And of course, when we found out that we're doing some changes, obviously, that impacts us as a city and the businesses that we have in our city. So we got involved. We dove right in and tried to find out what those changes were, and we had several meetings, and I can tell you Ms. Tamithia Shaw, who's head of our code department, was a major instrument in some of the negotiations that took place and some of the ones that should have taken place, okay? And basically, I'm going to, a lot of y'all just have a small caption of the legislation out there, so I'm going to read this legislation so that the taxi cab companies that are out there can hear what this council and this tax cab committee is really trying to put forth to the city of New Orleans. Because I don't know, do y'all have a copy of this? Any of y'all have a copy of this at all? Just a couple of you, okay? Well, if you can kind of pass it around. Whereas the city of Kenner, Jefferson Parish, and St. Charles Parish taxi cabs operators have serviced the ground transportation industry at the airport located in Kenner for decades. And whereas following the devastation of Hurricane Katrina, the city of Kenner taxi cab drivers and the Jefferson Parish taxi cab drivers are their primary service providers at the airport when the airport reopened and resumed operations. Whereas the city of Kenner taxi cab fleet and drivers are inspected and regulated at a very high standard for safety and professionalism, and whereas there is a mutual respect of the various governing bodies to regulate ground transportation within their appropriate jurisdictions to improve, inspect, and maintain and modernize a safe fleet of vehicles and drivers. Whereas with the upcoming Super Bowl and other special events, an emphasis has been placed on all taxi cab drivers to upgrade their vehicles, and whereas a relatively short period of time was given to require upgrades and compliance with the new and costly taxi cab requirements, and with the limited access of only 2 vendors, the City of New Orleans taxi cabs are being given preferential treatment and accessibility, and whereas the majority of Kenner taxi cab drivers who are attempting to schedule the upgrades are being given appointment dates that are beyond the December 31st, 2012 deadline, given the Kenner owners and operators a serious disadvantage over the larger New Orleans fleet, which is being serviced first and foremost, and whereas several Kenner City Council members and the City of Kenner administration have met with New Orleans airport officials to discuss the new requirements that will affect Kenner taxi cab drivers being allowed to service the airport, and are now urgently requesting further dialogue to extend the upgrade deadline. And whereas the City of Kenner seeks to protect its rights of our Kenner-based taxi cab owners and operators, and to give them the same advantages that the New Orleans owners and operators are afforded, particularly since the airport is situated in the City of Kenner, home of our Kenner-based fleet. And whereas if the deadline is not extended, the consequences would include a severe hardship and financial burden impacting the livelihood of our Kenner taxi cab owners and operators and their families, as well as other jurisdictions who are counting on being allowed to participate in the upcoming Super Bowl and other events by servicing the thousands of visitors arriving and departing from Louis Armstrong New Orleans International Airport. And whereas the City Council will do whatever it takes to find a short-term solution to extend the deadline of the imposed requirements by opening up dialogue and accomplishing a good remedy for all concerned parties by allowing our home-based fleets to have the same opportunity to comply with the realism of the fact that it will be impossible to meet the deadline with only 2 vendors providing the necessary and required upgrades, especially with the New Orleans fleet being given preferential treatment. The Council for the City of Kenner hereby resolves that the City Council urgently requests an extension of the deadline of December 31st, 2012 to comply with the imposed taxi cab upgrades, allowing the local Kenner owners and operators and other jurisdictions an opportunity to service the Louis Armstrong Airport, situated almost entirely within municipal boundaries of the City of Kenner during the upcoming Super Bowl and associated events. The dialogue with the City of New Orleans Council and the New Orleans Aviation Board of Directors to be expedited for the purpose of extension of the deadline of December 31st, 2012, thereby allowing continued uninterrupted service that the Kenner fleet, as well as other juries, have historically provided to the airport for many years. Basically, this is being sent to Mayor Mitch Landrieu, I'm sure with the approval of this council, and their city council, as well as the administration, because there's a severe disconnect as to putting a December 31st deadline. I want to give you some facts right now. Evidently, Malachi Hull has sent some information to Tamithia, and she says that there's actually 6 companies that can install this equipment. Well, he's wrong. 3 of them are owned by taxi cab companies, so obviously they're going to service their fleets first, okay? And secondly, let me give you what needs to be written into the facts here tonight. Abe's Meter Shop, which is one of the meter shops, and I talked to Abe himself, he has 400 cabs on a waiting list. He will not be able to service any other cab other than the 400 he has till well past January. So the deadline is not going to help at that company. Also, Ellis Meter Shop, he has 100 jobs waiting, and he has a 4-week waiting list, okay? Mid-City Automotive, they told Ms. Tamithia Shaw that they were only going to service United Cabs first, and it would be several weeks before they'll take another appointment. Okay, and the other shops that they say that exist, no answer, busy single, no answer, left message, no answer, left message. Let's see, no answer and unable to leave a message, okay? So maybe their secretaries are working on the taxi cabs in New Orleans to get them working, or they just business fronts that don't exist, okay? So this is the problem that we have, and this is why we want to send this message to the City Council and Mayor Mitch Landrieu. Thank you. Because it's just totally and completely unfair, okay? It was a deadline that's not realized, that we cannot realize our businesses to match that deadline. So this is actually going to go out, hopefully, with the approval of this council. And at this time, I do have some comments in closing. However, at this time, I'm going to put it forth to the rest of the council members here to make their comments at this time. Thank you.
Councilmember DeFrancis. Okay. Put your request on again. Now hit mic, not hit mic.
Again, all right. You know, you wonder about the sincerity of the people involved in New Orleans, because how do you put in a deadline when you know darn well that there is no way for the people that are going to be impacted to comply with that deadline? And as you just heard Councilman Dinopoulos say, he and I worked on this resolution together. There is no way for any of you in the audience to comply with that deadline. It is totally, completely unfair. And we feel that it is our obligation to support you, the people of Kenner, the Kenner cab drivers, and give you a fair shot, to make it a level playing field. And you don't have it at this time. And that's what this resolution is about. Now, there's one other point I want to make, and that is a lot of you are worried about a lot of those requirements. That's not what this resolution is about. This resolution is about getting us the time we need to work with all of you. And we don't have that time unless this resolution is sent to the New Orleans City Council and to Mitch and to, of course, Mayor Landrieu. So again, we are working together as a committee to make sure that you are treated fairly and that we're there for you. I'm going to let other council members as well speak. We can again at the end. Thank you.
Are there any other council members? Councilmember Dinopoulos to close. Oh, well, okay, hold on. Okay, never mind. Councilmember Stagney.
Thank you, Madam President. I thought Mr. Carroll was going to go first, and I thought that's where you were looking. Did you want to? Okay, I just wanted to make one quick comment. I appreciate all the hard work by the Taxi Cab Committee, all of you all for giving input to the committee. You know, I take what they say. The only thing I can compare it to is I know Chicago at some point put some new regulations into effect, and I think they gave a 3-year period for these things to go into effect, and yet here they're asking it to be done in 5 months, and I don't know if that's a realistic time frame based on especially the information that Mr. Dinopoulos and Mr. Franchise dug up. So we're trying to be as supportive as we can, but also knowing that, you know, we have to move forward in a progressive fashion as well. So thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilmember Stagney. Councilmember Carroll.
Thank you, Madam President. And I won't be redundant to repeat all of the things that Councilman Dinopoulos, Councilwoman DeFranchis, and Stagney said, because it's obvious that this particular ruling to be able to put on the Kenner cab drivers is unfair. The Kenner cab drivers are important to the city of New Orleans, the city of Kenner, because there are a lot of events, Super Bowl, Carnival, Final Four, all of the events coming up. It will take a combined effort of everyone in this chamber and every businessman, because sometimes actually the first people that people meet from other countries in the state are the people that drive the cabs. So we're not trying to skirt any type of ruling. We want to be able to have cabs. I think Attorney Shaw, along with the code department, have upgraded our department to ensure that our cabs are pristine and prime and proud to have people in. So we're not trying to skirt that rule, but we want to be on the same playing field like everyone else. We have a number of meetings with the airport on other issues, but the relationship has been fantastic. So there's no reason why this particular area dealing with the airport in the city of Kenner should not be as important to everyone. So it is our due diligence to ensure that we, as council persons for the city of Kenner, make sure that your business is as successful as any Walmart, Walgreens, Kmart, or any other store. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilmember Carroll. And to close, Councilmember DeNapolis.
Madam Chair, I would like to close. There are some additional information I'd like to give at this time, but I mean, I'd like to just, if we can, open just for 3 people from
Absolutely.
taxpayers to come, and if you can just limit it to 3, that way we can move on with our process here, because I'm sure.
Yeah, you got the vote. You sure you want to talk?
So I don't mean to limit it, but we could be here all night. We're all going to resound the same thing, but I would like to hear from some of your representatives.
Well, if we allow 3 pro, we have to allow 3 con. So whoever your 3 representatives are for pro.
First, I'd like to say good evening.
I'm sorry, ma'am. Your name and address for the record.
My name is Addie Washington Ransom. I'm also a taxi cab driver for Kenner at the New Orleans Aviation Airport.
And your address?
My address is 3033 Ohio Street, Kenner, Louisiana.
Okay.
So, okay. I'd like to say good evening first to all of you all. And I'm standing here in representing of the cab driver, and I understood you to say there was only a certain limit of places that are doing these things for us. But there's one more company that is doing them, because I think someone from Kenner called American Cab and talked with them, but they didn't specify what all y'all needed, whether we needed the top light, whether we needed the plat in the back with our big wide permits on it, or whether we needed the big letters. Myself personally, Monday, mine will be done. Eleanor has also sent y'all a paper, which we definitely, in my opinion, we don't want it, because Eleanor is what got us with this mess. So we don't want him, and no one wants to go to him to be lettered or anything. The other thing is, we have a deadline given to us. Kenner represents us, and I know Kenner does very well with representing us. Will we be allowed it to still work after December the 31st, or what's going to happen?
Well, that's what this is about. This is to answer you, when we fire this off at them, they're going to have to respond to it.
So how long do you think it might take?
Hopefully they respond and take our resolution seriously, okay? And I'm in closing, I'm going to tell you a few things. I just don't want to do it right now. But I mean, there is some things that we can do as a city, but hopefully it doesn't go to that point. I think basically we open some dialogue and move on.
Okay.
That's what we're trying to do.
The other question I have, do we or should we start getting this equipment now, or just hold off until y'all get an answer?
Well, no, they should start getting the equipment. No, I think if you can start getting your taxi cabs upgraded at this point, I think you need to. Okay.
Well, I think someone needs to call American Cab and let them know, because this is the question they asked me about the top light. I could not give them no example. The more things that y'all say we have to have, then the more expensive it will be. So the top light, they give the price of it.
But you need the answers.
And also they give the plat. Do we need the big picture in the back of the seat, like New Orleans? Do we need the lettering, the large lettering? Do we need to change anything that Kenner has already ordered us to have?
We actually went through a meeting And Ms. Addie, I know you were ill and you weren't here. So
Correct.
all of the taxi cab drivers were here. I think this chamber was full of taxi cab drivers, and we went through each requirement. And what we explained is the requirements for Kenner may be different than the requirements for the city of New Orleans. Certain things that we were not requiring for the city of Kenner. However, these are different governmental entities, so you may have to get those to drive at the airport. So one entity controls one thing, the other entity controls the other thing. But we went through the list, and I can get with you after the meeting as to the list of what we needed for the city of Kenner.
Okay, that is something that American Cab would have to have.
And I did
in order
call them,
to
and I
do
left a message.
Kenner.
I left a message. I contacted each of the installed shops when I got it and got the information. I left a message for them. I did not receive a call back, but I will try to reach them in the morning.
Okay, so right now, will we have anything definite that we have to worry about as far as our jobs is concerned? You got people got expense, and then getting another car. Some of them had just bought a car and got told they had to change the car.
Like I said, we went through, the taxi cab drivers that were here could tell you, we are going to put a minimum cab age for the city of Kenner, and we discussed that. Each of the cabs got that information at the meeting, and I can discuss it later with you as to the requirements that we're going to have for the city of Kenner.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and the next speaker, and you're for this legislation, sir?
Yes, ma'am. Good
Okay,
evening.
name and address for the record?
Yes, my name is Leroy Foster, address 4121 Tulane Drive in Kenner for 35 years. Been a taxi cab driver for 31 years. And my only question is, y'all already asked for the extension, and we really appreciate this. But there's a couple of questions I have to ask. They said the deadline for the upgrade the taxi. Could you define upgrade? Because we have new equipment and everything that we have already, such as the meter and the credit card machine, everything is new. GPS, I've been having that forever. I goes everywhere, travel everywhere with it. So I think it's unfair, and I heard y'all mention that also, that it's unfair. And
Well,
it is
sir,
unfair.
we can't define those things for you because they're not our requirements, but Ms. Shaw has a list, is that
Okay,
correct?
I'm
And if you need the list of requirements from the city of New Orleans afterwards, maybe Ms. Shaw could help you with that. We don't know what their requirements are.
Yeah, I'm talking my first automobiles, like I know you said 5 years, well, Kenner 7 years. Well, I have a 2009 Suburban, and I think all cab drivers have machines already. I have new credit card machine. I guess my point is, I'm trying to we have new credit card machine only for 5 years. We have our own company. Why should we go to the company that they coming up with their equipment, which, when we already have paid for these machines? So that's what the majority of cab driver concerns is about. And that's my question. And I sure appreciate you all working with us and getting the extension. And I know you need time, and we all need time, but the majority of us do have new equipment. I can speak for myself. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
You can figure that address.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So cute.
Well, ma'am, I'm sorry.
Okay, and so are you for the legislation as well, sir?
Yes.
Okay, come forward. State your name and address for the record.
My name is Niran Gunasekara. I drive a Jefferson Parish taxi cab at the Louis Armstrong Airport. I've been driving for 28 years, and I happen to be at the courthouse, U.S. 5th
Did you give your address? I'm sorry.
I live in St. Rose, St. Charles Parish.
Okay.
And this deal is not done yet. It's still in the appeals court. And one of the questions the Chief Justice in the appeals court asked the City of New Orleans attorneys, what's the rush? Why is it you want to make all these changes in 3 months? And their answer is, oh, it's the Super Bowl. But the Super Bowl has been coming to this city for 9 times, and this would be the 10th time. And the other question they asked the city attorneys, how much is it going to cost? new vehicle would cost more than $20,000, and this equipment would cost like $2,400. And I know there are these vendors that would give the equipment free. But just because they give it free, that doesn't mean there's no any hidden charges, because your monthly charges would be over $60. Plus, they want us to put a panic button, which would be $30 additional to use that panic button. When we have smartphones today, we could call 911, and we've been taking credit cards at this airport for the past 3 years because it's mandatory. And we could shop for this equipment, same specifications on eBay or the internet, and we could get it for half the price. But we are not allowed to get any of this equipment unless we go through the City of New Orleans approved vendors. Now, as a parish cab driver, you spend all this money, and they are letting the city cabs come and work at the airport if they are at compliance, which means after you spend all this money, your income is going to go down more than half what you made before. So you have 850 cabs right now servicing this airport. You're going to add another 1,000 or 1,500 cabs to that, and you buy a new vehicle and you pay a note. You get this equipment free, you have to pay for their services. And how are you going to make the money to pay for all this new equipment and changes? This radical reform Mr. Malachi Hall is bringing on us is he has one purpose only, to bankrupt us and get one company to run this airport. And that's my point.
Thank you. Okay, so we've had our 3 speakers for. Is there anyone who wants to speak against the legislation? Dare you? You're against the legislation?
Partially.
You're against us asking for an extension?
I support that, but what I'm against, I don't
Okay,
like...
wait. We were allowing 3 speakers for the legislation, so if you have a point to make that's against the legislation, state your name and address for the record.
Well, I'm not against the legislation, but I think it's not...
Your name and address for the record,
My
sir.
name is Frank Satar, and I live in 1905 Wellington Lane in Slidell, and I'm a former resident of Kenner.
That's okay. You don't have to prove to us that you live in the city for us to be on your side.
Okay, yeah, I understand that, but I was trying to say for the last 3 years, I've been trying to move back to Kenner after I made my retirement, and I like to spend it here in Kenner, but I'm worried about the way the taxi cab bureau in New Orleans is messing with our future. I don't know whether they're going to put us in bankruptcy like the former driver said. That's what I'm worried about. I'm very uncomfortable with the term upgrade. It's not an upgrade, and it's not reform. It's actually deforming the cab business. That's what Malachi Hull said. He wanted to finish all these cabs, and he said he wants to put them in one company. You know, there's an ongoing war between the cab drivers and the city of New Orleans because of the cab numbers, you see. Some of those cab numbers, some people have paid $50,000 for. The city wants to strip them off. And they're creating all these hostile working conditions just to bankrupt them, you know. And I think you ought to be aware of that, you know. But the Kenner cabs and the city and the parish cab is being a victim of this ongoing war, you know. And we're just getting hit in the middle, you know. That's the purpose of it. So I wanted to bring that point. We have all the equipment we need, you know. And they said, well, you need a top light and you need a panic button. I have friends of mine, one of them a captain, a retired captain from New Orleans Police, and I have one of the top homicide detectives from New Orleans Police who's retired. He would tell you that if you put this stop light and you go to this bad neighborhood like we do, that's just putting a sign to all these drug dealers and armed robbers, hey, we got plenty of cash money. Anybody want to rob us, come over, you know? And, yeah. And I have background in law enforcement myself, too, and I tell you that if you push the alarm during an armed robbery or after an armed robbery, until he disappears. You know, he will fire shots at you, you know, okay, and your life is in danger. This guy, Molokai Hull, I don't know where he gets his experience. He said he feels worried about us. He's trying to protect us. He's trying to bankrupt us, you know. And
Okay,
thank you.
thank you. Okay, is there anyone wanting to speak against the legislation? Okay, at this time, anybody against the legislation? Okay. Councilmember DeNapolis to close.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I don't want to really deviate from the legislation, but I do want to point out a few things that, you know, City of Kenner is the airport takes up a third of the City of Kenner. It's in the City of Kenner, okay? Let's make that fact, okay? And yes, they can negotiate how they want their ground transportation, but also, too, they need to take into consideration that there's other jurisdictions that service the airport. And the second thing is that they want our fleet at a disadvantage that cannot upgrade or not do the grades or not see what the issues are that we need to do at that airport. They've given you a December 31st deadline, and you can't make that deadline. Ms. Shaw, I want to ask you a question. Aren't we as a city assisting the Louis Armstrong Airport and all the development out there? Aren't we assisting them to make their deadline with the improvements of the airport?
Yes, we are.
Now, aren't we not going out there on Saturdays and Sundays,
When they call.
when they call,
Yes.
which is uncommon, to help them make their deadline? Are we not?
Yes, we are.
Okay. Now, what would happen if we decide we're not going to make those inspections on the weekend? What would happen to their deadline for the Super Bowl? It would put it in peril.
Yeah.
Definitely. Okay. So I'm just going to fire another bow shot over there. Maybe we don't inspect the airport and we take our time like we do with everybody else. Okay? All right? Why, Ms. Shaw, why should I, a Kenner homeowner, have to wait a week for somebody to come inspect maybe a shed or improve my house, and the airport's taking precedence over them coming to my home because we are actually doing their bidding? We're actually trying to get out there and assist them in getting their construction done on their time schedule? Well, I think they need to wait on us and allow us to get our taxi cabs on our time schedule. Okay? And secondly, okay, you know, you're right. This is in court in the City of Kenner. I'm not too sure that the City of Kenner also ought to engage them if they don't sit there and talk to us, because I'm telling you, I called Walter Kronotsky 3 weeks ago and asked him for some information, Ms. Shaw, and I'm telling this to the mayor as well, okay? And then I called him 2 weeks later. I said, Walter, I said, you told me I can call you anytime. I haven't heard back from you. He said, well, Mr. DeNapolis, I had the wrong number on you. That's why I haven't called you back. I can tell you this, everybody knows how to get a hold of Kent DeNapolis. You just call the city. I mean, what's the matter? They didn't have the phone number to the City of Kenner? Oh. So anyway, and just in closing, and I really appreciate, I'm telling you, the City of Kenner and this administration will do whatever it takes for them to come to the table and to get some common sense to what's going on. That's all I'm asking. Michelle, at this point in time, I'm just going to call for the vote unless anybody else wants to speak. Thank you.
Well, you closed on it, so.
I just want to make sure that everybody understands. You asked the question about what's going to happen if they don't answer. Mr. DeNapolis and I have already said that we're going to put our own deadline in there, that we're going to give them a certain amount of time to respond to us. So
why don't you add an amendment
Okay.
to it?
May I add an amendment, please?
Whoa. Actually, you've closed on the legislation, so we're kind of out of order.
But it's okay. We did it before, about three council meetings ago.
Actually, we've closed on the legislation. It's time for the vote.
Okay. But you allowed it before to happen.
Councilmember DeNapolis, you know that I follow the rules for everyone.
Okay. Okay. Appreciate it. Okay, we're closing at this time.
It's closed. I have several. Do you see that? Okay. Okay, council members, please vote.
Madam Chairman. Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0.
I thought we handled that quite well. Huh? I fired it. up.
Item 13E is a resolution to review the application of filming applicant Louisiana RPI LLC for a filming permit in the city of Kenner.
Motion by Councilmember DeFrancis, second by, yes.
Yes, ma'am. I've received a request for a removal of this piece from the administration.
If y'all could exit quietly, please, thank you. Thank you. So we have a motion by Councilmember DeFrancis, second by Councilmember Black to remove this item. Council members, please vote.
One more.
One more vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Item 14 is items removed from the consent agenda.
We have none.
Item 15 is acceptance of contracts and similar matters approved by the mayor. Item 15A is summary ordinance number 11,431, an ordinance accepting the responsive bid received from LA Fabrication LLC in the amount of $9,225 for the repairs to stair system at the AP Clay Center located at 200 Decatur Street in accordance with telephone bid number T12-1936 for the Department of Community Development.
Motion by Councilmember Carroll, second by Councilmember Black. Council members, please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Item 15B is summary ordinance number 11,432, an ordinance accepting the responsive bid received from Economical Janitorial and Paper Supplies Incorporated for a 6-month contract to supply copy paper for various City of Kenner departments as per telephone bid number T12-1932 in an amount not to exceed $10,000.
Motion by Councilmember Black, second by Councilmember Brannigan. Council members, please vote. One more vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Item 15C is summary ordinance number 11,434, an ordinance accepting the responsive bid received from Ridgeways LLC doing business as ARC in the amount of $7,495 to furnish and install a multifunctional printer in accordance with letter bid 12-1489 to serve both Planning Department and the Department of Public Works.
Motion by Councilmember Stagney, second by Councilmember Reyno. Council members, please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Item 15D is summary ordinance number 11,435, an ordinance accepting the responsive bid received from Pelican Construction Supplies, LLC, for a 2-year contract to supply red tile stamps for handicapped corners, ADA pavers for the City of Kenner on an as-needed basis in an amount not to exceed $10,000 per year for the Department of Public Works.
Motion by Councilmember DeFrancis, second by Councilmember Carroll. Council members, please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Item 15E is summary ordinance number 11,436, an ordinance authorizing an increase of $20,000 to the maximum contract amount and clarifying that the amount is on an annual basis for the contract with Direct Source LLC to furnish and install vinyl siding and related exterior improvements at various facilities on an as-needed basis for the Kenner Department of Parks and Recreation.
Motion by Councilmember Brannigan, second by Councilmember Black. Council members, please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Item 15F is summary ordinance number 11,437, an ordinance accepting the responsive bid received from Planet Recess Incorporated in the amount of $17,259.40 to furnish and install a swing set and rubber surfacing at Green Lawn Playground in accordance with seal bid number 12-6101 for the Department of Parks and Recreation.
Motion by Councilmember Stagney, second by Councilmember Reyno. Councilmember Stagney?
Thank you, Madam President. I want to thank Council District 3. He and I have put up half the money for the resurfacing, and then District 2 has put up the money for the swings, and thank the Recreation Department. You're starting to see a renovation or revitalization of that playground over there, and it's starting to show. So I appreciate everybody's help on this. I think that money is well spent when you can keep these kids on the playground. So thank you, Mr. Reyno, and thank you, Mr. Maricoli.
Seeing no further, excuse me, Councilmember Denapolis?
Yeah, I think back when we were installing that playground a few months back, I think it was, gentlemen, and I said, you know, Green Lawn Playground is going to be a very fortunate playground when you have two council people putting their attention and their money into it. And you're right, Councilman Stagney and Councilman Reyno, you're right. That park's going to be a fine park by the time you guys get through. Good job, gentlemen. Thanks.
Council members, please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Item 15G is summary ordinance number 11,438, an ordinance accepting the responsive bid received from Gill's Carpet Sales Incorporated in the amount of $13,550 to furnish and install laminate flooring at the City of Kenner-owned facility located at 421 Williams Boulevard in accordance with letter bid number 12-1488 for the Department of Parks and Recreation.
Motion by Councilmember Carroll, second by Councilmember Black. Councilmember Black.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. You know, I'm looking at the bid list here. Again, I've brought this up before, and I don't see anyone here that could possibly answer the question. Oh, yeah, we have someone, excuse me. There were 12 bidders on this piece of legislation, and 11 of them do not respond. I mean, it just seems like one person keeps responding and the others don't respond. There's 12 bidders and 11 did not even respond. Can you give me a reason why?
No, we put them in there, say they dropped, they dropped the ball or it wasn't big enough of a project. I mean, I have my people calling them, why aren't you responding to the bids? And I pick a whole lot of people for that reason, so we can get a lot of get at least 3 or more. But some people just they get them, and they just say they dropped the ball. They didn't realize it was due at that time, or they didn't think it was big enough.
I don't have any problem with the company that responded, but it just seems like they get the contract. They're the only ones that respond every time. And when you have 12 bidders, that 11 people don't respond, I just find that rather strange.
I understand what you're saying, Councilwoman, and that's why I try to pick so many companies, because I want to get bidders out there, but they don't bid. I mean, if you notice all of the bids that I do, I have at least 5, 6, 7, 8, 12, whatever. You can't
force them to, but there must be a reason why they don't respond, and I just
sometimes
find that strange.
Sometimes they'll just say it's just not a big enough job for them. Some people like bigger jobs. Some of those people are in competition with one another, and they go to we don't have pre-bids on everything, okay? So they just go look at the job, and they'll just say, this particular one, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't it bidded twice?
13.
This is with a DVM, right? I think this was bidded twice because we didn't get no response the first time because they forgot about the date. So then we rebid it again.
So even the low bidder, the one person that did respond, did not respond the first time you did it too?
He responded, but he was non-responsive, excuse me. He was non-responsive. His corporate resolution was not signed.
Okay.
So we had to rebid again because they didn't follow the rules that were required in the general conditions.
Okay, Teresa, thank you. I just find that strange.
I mean,
$13,500 is not anything to sneeze at, but we might have been able to get something.
Councilman, like I said, I do, I sent it out there for them to bid, and I question, it's in there if they have any questions to contact us. Nobody questions me, or we do check on them, and they'll say, we dropped the ball on this end, or, wasn't a big enough project. I have that with even big projects, like project done by AE firms. Sometimes you'll only get two people to be, or one person.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, Councilmember DeNapolis.
Teresa, I've been watching them, and I see you sending these things out. I know you're doing your homework, but I guess by attrition, we're going to shop Kenner first, because the company that won the bid is in Kenner. So, well, I can't, huh? So, I mean, I can't complain too much about that. But anyway, you're right, Councilman Black. I wish I'd like to see some more responses, but it's probably correct. It's just not a big enough job. Thanks.
Councilmember Stagney.
Thank you, Madam President. I think we'd all like to see more competition, but prior to Ms. Teresa, Ms. Brenda was in that spot, and that department has done a very good job of trying to get people to submit their bids, and it just doesn't happen. I mean, I even had a friend of mine with carpet, and I kept seeing that another vendor would get the award. And for a year, the purchasing department had given him the documents, followed up on it, and he had originally complained, so I followed up on it. At the end of the year, it was his fault he didn't submit. So, I mean, I guess you can only bring the horse to water. You can't make them drink. If they don't want to fill out the forms and submit with the required insurance, I mean, we do those things to protect the taxpayers of this city. So I know it's frustrating. We see that sometimes. But I know I asked when Ms. Brenda was here, and I know the purchasing department is doing as much or more than they were doing before. So I commend your efforts in doing that, and I understand why. Sometimes we see that, and we look at it and say, we wish we had more people to bid, but you can't make them bid. So we appreciate it. Thank you.
Councilmember Reyno.
Thank you, Madam President. I noticed in this bid that it says that this bid must be accompanied by a bid security in the amount of 5%. You think that may be why some of these people aren't bidding on this, Teresa? And I know, as a contractor who previously have bid on city jobs, y'all don't always put that in every bid.
Actually, no, it's not. It's not so much the bid bond. It's they don't want to go through they don't want to follow the steps, the insurance requirements, and they just don't want to go through all the steps that's necessary. 5% of that bid is not very much.
But my question is then why is it 5% on this one, but then you have other ones that bid out that you don't put 5% in?
Okay, annual contracts. This was done a while back. Annual contract bids that when we bid out, we require only a $500 bid bond. Okay.
But I bid jobs with the city of Kenner in previous years that you didn't require anything at all, and then you would send my business a request for bid, and it would have 5%. So I don't understand why some do and some don't. If you could just clarify that for me.
But many, many years ago, we did have a director at that time did not require a bid bond for every bid. But since 2006, since the new administration came in, so forth, we have required a bid bond on every bid that I send out. There is a bid bond that's required. I do not require a bid bond.
Mayor, is that something that we can look at to see if that may be the issue here, why people aren't bidding on this? I mean, as a small business owner, okay, and I bid on these kind of I used to bid on these kind of projects with the city of Kenner. That may be something that's causing our Kenner businesses and our other businesses not to bid on it.
One of the things, too, is also insurance requirements. But we're working on, it's like...
Yeah, and I was going to echo what Teresa just said with the insurance. That's the complaint I get from everybody is how much insurance is required to do some of the work we ask. But it all depends on the work and the job of what we do that requires it. But I will have the city attorney's office look at that. But it's safeguards for the city is what we have in place.
Okay.
Okay, seeing no further discussion, council members, please vote.
I have two more.
We have one more, and you'll have to mark him absent.
Okay. So what do I do in that case? Because he's in vote? In vote?
It's not you. Because it usually is you.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 6-0. Councilmember Stagney did not vote. Item 15H is summary ordinance number 11,439, an ordinance authorizing an increase of $4,000 to the maximum contract amount of $12,000 annually for the contract between the City of Kenner and Richard Reams Trophy Company for the purchase of awards on an as-needed basis for the Department of Parks and Recreation.
Motion by Councilmember Black, second by Councilmember Brannigan. Council members, please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Item 15I is summary ordinance number 11,440, an ordinance accepting the responsive bid received from Staples Sporting Goods in the amount of $5,260.20 to purchase baseball uniforms and equipment in accordance with telephone bid number T12-1938 for the Department of Parks and Recreation.
Motion by Councilmember DeNapolis, second by Councilmember Carroll. Council members, please vote.
Madam Chairman, motion passes 7-0. Item 16 is ordinances and resolutions in summary for first reading. Item 16A is summary ordinance number 11,443, an ordinance amending Section 5-63 regulating substandard buildings in the City of Kenner. Item 16B is summary ordinance number 11,444, an ordinance renaming and designating the Gladys Gym Basketball Court the Alan J. Goday Jr. Memorial Court in honor of Al Goday's service to the Kenner Recreation Department and the residents of the City of Kenner. Item 16C is summary ordinance number 11,445, an ordinance authorizing the purchase of 2 nozzle assemblies from Covington Sales Service Incorporated in the amount of $7,079.06, plus freight charges for the Department of Public Works Division of Drainage. Item 16D is summary ordinance number 11,446, an ordinance accepting the responsive bid received from Foster Custom Awnings LLC in the amount of $5,624 to build and install a regular style awning on the existing frame at the Children's Castle in Rivertown in accordance with telephone bid number T12-1928 for the Kenner Department of Parks and Recreation. Item 16E is summary ordinance number 11,447, an ordinance accepting the responsive bid received from Charvet's Garden Center Incorporated for a 2-year contract to furnish, install, maintain, and water trees for the City of Kenner on an as-needed basis per specification contained in sealed bid number 12-6103 in the amount not to exceed $25,000 per year for the Department of Public Works. Item 16F is summary ordinance number 11,448, an ordinance amending the 2012-2013 operating budget to budget funds received from Jefferson Parish in the amount of $196,970 for the continued operation of the Kenner Loop bus service through the 2012-2013 fiscal year. Item 17 is reports from the council and our special committees.
Yes, Councilmember Black.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Earlier in the meeting, we mentioned about a fantastic person that passed away today by the name of Sal Plyer. And I just have known Sal all of my life. He was a lifelong resident of Kenner, or in particular Hanson City. And I just wanted to bring everybody's attention to the life that he lived with, including the city of Kenner. He passed away today at the age of 75, and he leaves behind a wife, Dolores, of 54 years. He has two sons, Jay and Sal, who were very active in recreation and played in all of the sports. He has 6 grandchildren and 7 great-grandchildren. Sal retired after serving 29 years with the Louisiana Gas Company, and he worked for the city of Kenner in recreation for 44 years. I think anybody that ever played in Kenner when they were young, they came in contact with Sal Playa. He was a coach, an umpire, a league coordinator for the boys, and then the girls, and then back to the boys and back to the girls because he's served for so long. Sal was affectionately known as Mookie, a name given to him by former mayor and parish president Joe Yenny. And all the kids in the neighborhood did still call him Mookie. He touched so many lives and will truly be missed by by everyone that knew him. So our thoughts and prayers go with the Playa family at this time. Services are pending either Sunday or Monday. They're not sure because they have some people coming in from out of town. But God rest in peace, Mookie. We loved you. Thank you.
Councilmember Carroll.
Thank you, Madam President. And I, too, would like to give my condolences to Mr. Sal and Mr. Loris, who I not only had the opportunity to be part of the Kenner Recreation Department as a young man, but also I went to school at Our Lady Perpetual Health with Sal and Jay. Mr. Loris was one of the room mothers or mothers that used to drive me around to all of the games. So I pretty much grew up knowing Mr. Sal and Mr. Loris my entire life. They lived right down the street on Coleman Place, their whole entire life, part of South Kenner. And, you know, last year I had an opportunity with the Martin Luther King Parade to honor Mr. Sal as one of the persons to the Kenner Recreation Department that has had so many years. So it gave me an opportunity to give an award to someone who never asked for anything, but to recognize his many years of service within the Kenner Recreation Department into the community. Mr. Sal and Mr. Loris they are a standard for the St. Rosalie altar. Every year like clockwork, Mr. Sal and Mr. Loris and a number of other ladies put in numerous hours to ensure that the St. Joseph altar is beautiful and wonderful, like it all compared to any altar that I've ever seen. So, you know, those are the little things about Mr. Sal, being able to, you know him personally, know his children, know his wife. So he will be missed by everyone in the city of Kenner. And on behalf of everyone from the city of Kenner and District 1, we'd like to give our condolences and God bless you, Mr. Sal, and thank you for all that you gave to the city and to us. And one last thing I'd like to thank, we had for the seniors, the Thanksgiving Day dinner at the Buddy Lawson Gym, and we also had a dance/party this past Friday at Buddy Lawson Gym. The major sponsor was Gen Care Medical Center. They've been really helpful and contributors to the city of Kenner, especially to the senior group that live in the city of Kenner. So we'd like to thank them. Thank everyone that came out to the party/dance and Thanksgiving. It was well attended, and we all had a great time. Thank you. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilmember Carroll. Councilmember Stagney.
Thank you, Madam President. My condolences and sympathy to Mr. Loris and Sal and Jay. Mr. Sal's health has been, had been failing for quite a long time. His family, he and his wife, the service they gave this city, Mr. Sal through coaching, and I think an employee of the city, and Mr. Loris through Our Lady of Perpetual Help Church. If you haven't had her Italian cookies, you haven't had good Italian cookies. They give so much of their time. In talking with the mayor, we're going to look into a couple of things, but we want to do something probably at Butch Dewey Playground where he coached for such a long time, and whether we, call it Mr. Sal Playa or Mookie, everybody, any old Italian in this city, they don't know him as Sal Playa, it's just Mookie. So we're going to miss him greatly. We appreciate all of his service to our community. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilmember Stagney. Councilmember DeNapolis.
Yeah, what an incredible guy Sal Playa. As a matter of fact, I started coaching in Kenner when I was about 25, and I was definitely wet behind the ears, and he used to call me Trouble. And yeah, every now and then, he always, he was actually my supervisor because I coached girls' sports, and you're right, he was head of the girls' sports, and what just the memories, him and I, because he'd always smile. There was always something about him. He had a grin from ear to ear, and I'm going to miss that. And also, too, I know we were mentioning some people who passed. I know I want to mention the fact that Mr. Gregory Carroll also had a loss in his family. His father-in-law passed away, and we want to just mention that as well. And also, too, I want to thank the Recreation Department and the administration for what a fantastic job they did Sunday at Caroline in the Park. I think we gave out about 800 toys to the needy kids in the area, and what a terrific event. A lot of people turned out, and I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. Councilmember DeFrancis.
Thank you. Thank you, Council President. Of course, our prayers go out to all the many people we've mentioned throughout this meeting who have died and who have made such a contribution to the city of Kenner, and our prayers were for all of them and for their families. But I also want to mention that Saturday, 12/8 through Sunday, 12/16 is Hanukkah. And we want to wish a very happy Hanukkah to all our Jewish friends here in the city of Kenner and throughout the area. Thank you.
Okay. And I also knew Mr. Playa. I don't think you could have been crossed foot on any of the playgrounds and not have known Mr. Playa. So my prayers are with his family this evening. And it's, this evening they're having that memorial at Mr. Muleisen hosts every year. This is just a time of year that when you've lost somebody, the void is just present. No matter what time of year you've lost them, it's always on your mind and your heart at the holiday season. So our prayers go out to all those families who have lost loved ones anytime throughout the year. And Councilmember Black had an interesting thing about Mr. Playa's mom. I have you have my.
Yes, I failed to mention that Miss Frances Playa is still alive. She's in her 90s, over 95. I know I won't give away the actual age, but I know, because I'm not sure of it, but I know she's about 95 and 96. She's still alive, and he also is survived by brother John. So I just wanted to mention that. And also, I forgot to mention about the Christmas Village that opened up last week. What a treat that was, because we actually had a snowfall. We had snow coming from the sky. The kids thoroughly enjoyed it. We had Benny Grunch and his bunch, who sang all of their one-hit wonders. And so it was a wonderful thing. And we had a good showing, but we could have had more. So next year, it's going to be even more spectacular. We're going to build it up before we have it, before it comes, because we kind of forgot to mention it at the last council meeting, but the children there were ecstatic, and I had snow in my hair, and we were singing Christmas carols, and the mayor had snow in his hair, which actually was, and the lights were shining on it, so it really did look like snow. So it was a wonderful time had by all, and very few communities offer what we offer, and that's the Kenner always give us the Christmas spirit. And yes, I said Christmas spirit. Tis the reason for the season, guys. So I hope everybody remembers that. Thank you.
Ironically, we did mention at the last council meeting, I was the one who mentioned it, and then I got in touch with Ms. Wagasback on the 23rd, which was the day after Thanksgiving, I think, to find out what time it started, because I was sitting out at Rivertown and nobody was there. And then I was sick as a dog from Thanksgiving through, sick for a long time. So I missed the opening, but I was the first one there. And I had gotten a memo from the mayor that he was going to be out of town for a couple days, and I thought, the mayor's going to be out of town for the opening of I hope his staff knows, and I don't know what I'm supposed to do, and da-da-da, and anyway, I was the first one there. Okay, Council Clerk.
Yes, ma'am. Item 18 is new business, and we took that earlier in the meeting. Item 19 is unfinished business and/or motions to reconsider or remove from a tabled position.
We have none.
Item 20 is persons wishing to address the council on special subject matters.
We have a few, but I have a long list, and I can tell that many of them were the taxi drivers that were here earlier. So I will go down the list, and the first speaker I know is here, Mr. Larry Daigle, but I'll go down the list pretty rapidly after this. So,
Larry Daigle, 4128 Tulane Drive. Isn't it nice to live in Kenner? Yes, indeed. I'd like to thank the Times-Picayune for that article they put in the paper about our truck, feeding the needed families and giving them gifts and all. Mr. Francis, I appreciate you sending me that article and laminating it for me. But it's this time of year, y'all. We're going out and feed the kids, give them gifts. We starting Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and next week we're going to do it again. I think we got like 8 families, maybe 30 kids. And our number one sponsor, J&J, Francis, he with J&J, and they sponsored the Super Bowl truck, and I'd like to introduce them to y'all.
I'm Francis Dobervone. I live at 3224 Iowa Avenue in Kenner. I've been a proud citizen since December of 1976. I wouldn't live anywhere else. I love this city. And we are proud, Bobby John, who's the owner of the company over 55 years ago. I don't know if you remember the Wing and a Prayer, Okinawa, the batter B-52. Well, that was Harry John. That was Bobby John's brother. They started the company over 55 years ago. So we are proud to sponsor the Who Dat truck and the Super Bowl truck, Bobby John, and over 250 employees. We're the largest independent pest control company in Louisiana. We're 30th in the nation. And what we do is we service you to death. Our motto is shielding what's near to you, and that's your home. And we do pest control, termite, and whatever. Then I met this crazy man, Larry Daigle. And I thought I was crazy. Man, I'm not even crazy at all. So he's unbelievable. We took that Super Bowl truck to Atlanta. Atlanta's never been the same. So we had a blast. We just had one great time. And that was Larry and I's idea to start this Super Bowl truck. So it's unbelievable. I can't believe that truck. It's just, he's got the Who Dat truck as well as the Super Bowl truck. Every one of those things that's wrapped on that truck is taken out of his photos. He's put on that truck. So one thing that just blows my mind is on the back of the Who Dat truck is a 1967 season ticket of his parents, and it's $7.
oh, wow.
That's $7, exactly what Bobby John first service ticket was for one home, one truck, $7. Now we're over a $20 million company. We want Kenner business. We want it all because we're a good company and we'll do a good job. You can ask Larry. Him and I met, I guess, April 2004. I got to tell you this story because no people are going to believe it. Because it was on Tulane Avenue, 4128. And I was doing pest control down there. It was Friday afternoon. And I was tired because I do 10 or 15 every day. It was like 5 o'clock in the afternoon. He comes running down, almost drags me right back to his house. He said, I've had 6 companies in here. I can't get rid of the roaches. I said, well, tell me what you got. And I said, you got dogs, right? You got dog food. I know where they are. Let's go. So away we went. An hour and a half later, we killed over 400 roaches. So they were in the insulation and everything. So but we nailed them, and guess what? Now any competitor that comes down there, he chases them off with a broom because I've seen it. Now calls it Francis Avenue instead of Tulane Avenue. That's all I got to say. And I'm just proud to be the sponsor of the Who Dat truck and the Christmas Foundation. He wants me to be Santa Claus, but I can't say ho ho like he can. So that's all I got.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, Addie Washington came earlier. George Serpatus.
Yeah, earlier too.
Mr. Nunez was earlier. Fernando earlier. Mr. Handel from Newport. Mr. Benetti.
Al didn't sign up?
Yeah, he did. He's way down.
Walt Benetti, 3009 Illinois Avenue in Councilman Stagney's district. I was surprised last week to read an article in the on NOLA.com written by Mr. Broach regarding City Attorney Connolly contemplating suing the city regarding overturning the charter change that was approved by 70% of the voters in Kenner. in reading the article, it said that Mr. Conley was contemplating using attorney Michael Brandner of the Brandner Law Firm. In doing a little bit more research, I learned that Mr. Brandner was on Mayor Yenny's transition team. He took a leave of absence from the Alliance for Good Government to campaign for Mayor Yenny. He also was a political contributor to the mayor. In going to Attorney Brandner's website, I was surprised to learn that according to the website, Attorney Conley is an employee of the Brandner Law Firm. So you have the city attorney suing the city to overturn the will of the people, of the voters of Kenner, and using a law firm that is associated with the mayor, friendly with the mayor, and that he is also an employee of, when I thought he was a full-time city attorney. Clearly, that is or should be a conflict of interest. If City Attorney Conley cannot uphold the will of the people and defend the city, which I thought the city attorney's job was, then I think he should resign, or we should take an unpaid leave of absence and stop taking the taxpayers' money. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Benetti. Neron, oh, that's Jefferson Parish, he spoke. Sarada Perea, Leroy Foster, Al Morella.
Al Morella, 4260 East Loyola Drive, 5th District, 40 years. I got some comments, a few topics to discuss here tonight. Number one, you know, all of this talk about the cab drivers, that's all well and good. But I got a question. I want to know who represented Kenner at that table or in the back room, wherever it was done at, when the mayor of New Orleans extended those rules and regulations to include the city of Kenner. Now, New Orleans might own that airport, but that airport is in our backyard. And I want to know who represented the city of Kenner at the table or in the back room, wherever it went down. Second, the wall that you all want to erect in this council chamber. Oh, okay, that's all well and good. There's only one thing. For somebody or a group of people, whoever, to memorialize former politicians of this city, and I'm not saying all, but there's a few who did nothing but serve themselves when they sat on this council and stole from the people of Kenner, to memorialize people like that on a wall in this city. Whoever proposed that foolishness and whoever supported it tells me a lot about their character. Now, the third thing I want to talk about, that referendum that Mr. Benetti just talked about up here. Now, before the voters went to the polls and the night you all put that referendum on the table, I expressed the concerns I had and made an argument that I considered was an argument why I was not going to support that. Now, the way I understand it, the administration, and no one made any kind of argument at all. The people went to the polls and they voted for it overwhelmingly. Now y'all want to come back here and you want to bring an attorney in here like Mr. Benetti just said, and you want to come along now and make the same argument that I made up here before the thing was even voted on. Well, I'm going to tell you what. If you all can get all the lawyers in here you want, you can fight this thing all you want. No matter how it goes, if it's overturned, I expect the people up here who supported that referendum and the people outside this chamber who supported that referendum to pick up the tab for the legal fees for this city. If it stands, then I expect the city attorney personally and the mayor to pay the legal expenses for bringing these people in to try to get this thing overturned. No matter which way it goes, I want the parties to be held liable for the legal fees, not the people of Kenner. People of Kenner did what they were supposed to do. They went to the polls and exercised their right to vote. Anybody got any comments, any questions for me? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Morella. Douglas Martinez, a name I cannot read, so if I get to the end and I haven't called your name, I'll know who it is. Blanca Moya, Nerval, anybody by that name? Luis Montanosa, Mr. Pack, Mr. Sateem, Jefferson Parish, Mr. Chayote, Mr. Islam, Mr. Sangita, Kenny Viola? Is it Viola or Viola? Viola. Well, I was trying to differentiate you from the sewer
okay.
people.
Kenny Viola, I'm a resident of Jefferson Parish, 2529 Witchwood. I'm here to talk about the taxi cabs and all. I'm not sure what the council understands or what's been read in the paper, but New Orleans passed this ordinance, and what they do with their cabs in the city is up to them. I don't feel it's fair even for the city drivers, but there again, all this equipment's being forced on the independent drivers of Kenner and Jefferson. All the events are held in the city, and these drivers run the city and the events, you know, whether it's convention center, cruise ships, sporting events, restaurants, whatever. We don't bring in the income that a city cab driver brings in, and it's really kind of hard to support this ordinance when financially you can't even do it. Yeah, there's problems with getting the equipment installed and all, but there's just phases in every aspect of it. The first judge, I believe, ruled unlawful and unconstitutional. It went to a second judge who gave them everything they wanted. There's a class action lawsuit. I think Collada is the attorney representing that. It's just a mess all the way around. I don't see how, if this business could support all of this. And when I say all of this, meaning a car less than 5 years old with a car note, the insurance, all the fees that you're going to have behind the equipment, as much as the expense to get the equipment, and all what you got to go through to get it installed, it's a total mess. You know, I don't see how this business can support all what the city wants, especially as an independent, you know, Kenner Jefferson cab driver. And I, just wanted to bring that and say that.
Thank you. I think we do appreciate and understand everything that you said, but we appreciate you coming.
Okay, well, thank you for hearing me.
Okay, seeing no further persons, meeting adjourned.